Gentlemen, we are going to get a great night of live streaming going. You know what we do? Real money fantasy football drafts every single night. Now, this first one is not going to be a $250 draft. This first one, $3 league. We got to get a warm up for the high stakes. I've embarrassed myself enough in those high stakes drafts to just fire up one right away. What's great is, hell, y'all know I love pick four. I think with pick four, we are going to have some really nice running back value falling to us in the second round where we are able to go ahead. We are able to just lock in Cooper Kupp here. Now, as I've said, you really have to understand how to play to your league format. So if you're going to be playing in a league that it's an extremely shallow starting lineup where you only start 2 wide receivers and you only have 1 flex, honestly, in that format, I'm fine if you want to go through. If you want to take Austin Eckler here at 4 instead, sure, you do you, especially now that we have the Isaiah Spiller injury. I do think you have to bump up Austin Eckler ever so slightly. So understand your format and if you should be going with a running back or a wide receiver in round 1. In this league in particular, because it's on Underdog, we have to go wide receiver, as you know by now. And as you also know by now, that you need to go down there and fix your life. Drop a like in the live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already. I know everybody out here is already subscribed, but if you're watching this as a video later on, we do these live streams every single night for 3-4 hours, firing up real money fantasy football drafts. And if we hit 90,000 subscribers before the season starts, we won't do a 3-hour. We won't do a 4-hour fantasy football live stream. We will do a 24-hour stream drafting nonstop. So make sure you go down there, subscribe. Make sure you hit the like next to that subscribe button if you're already a member of the flock. Now, here at the end of the first round, we have all the tier 2 running backs going. You have Derrick Henry, you have Joe Mixon, you have Dalvin Cook, you have Najee Harris. We talk about this all the time, but honestly, it's up to you with whoever you want to go. Johnny coming out of here says, Flock Country, let's ride. Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm disappointed in y'all. We said that y'all needed to get us a pretty good Russell Wilson meme saying Flock Country, let's ride. And so I checked my email this morning to see if anybody had sent me a file. And nobody sent one, guys. Real disappointed. What are y'all spending your time on? Let's get this going right now. Okay, so we have Travis Kelce at pick 13 paired up with Davante Adams here from Zach. Honestly, Zach probably is sitting pretty after getting Davante Adams falling to him at 12. That's something that I do think that you have to really like on the Underdog in particular, where you have to start 3 wide receivers. I'm sure that everybody watching this by now is already fired into some Underdog drafts. They've already had a lot of fun drafting on Underdog with us in the stream. But if you are one of those people that aren't having fun every single day, aren't able to just fire up a best ball draft at any time you want, remember, you can do as many of these drafts as you can possibly want to, because there's no time commitment at all during the season. You don't submit your starting lineup. You don't do waivers. That's how I've already done over 600 drafts this offseason. Make sure you go to the link in the description. Make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK, and when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide with a $10 deposit. Literally, a $10 deposit gets you our 300-page draft guide. They match that deposit, so it's essentially free for you. Go take advantage of that. Even if you've already had your draft, our draft guide is really going to help you out with your roster construction as well as the overall players you should be targeting. Now we have DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones off the board here. And I think we are probably just going to end up, I don't know. I would love Kamara here. I mean, Javonte Williams is a lot less appealing. But we end up getting Alvin Kamara. Perfect. We have A.J. Brown going directly before us. I mean, I know A.J. Brown made that highlight play today. Obviously, we've been talking about A.J. Brown being an elite level talent for a very long time now. It is difficult for me to take A.J. Brown at 20. Like, going back and looking at what that team did by deciding to go Austin Eckler and A.J. Brown, I would say, hell, why don't you just go ahead and take Chase and then Alvin Kamara? If you want a wide receiver that bad in round 2, why don't you go Jamar Chase and Alvin Kamara instead of Austin Eckler and A.J. Brown? Dre coming out says, post a link in locals so we can have first tips. My man, this was posted in locals. This was posted in locals for you to be able to get in this private draft. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the next draft that we get in, assuming that we fire up another one after this, which we probably will, is going to be a $250 draft. I don't think we're going to get another private draft one going until later tonight. So we have Nick Chubb off the board, 26. Are we going to get a Leonard Fournette making it to us at 28? If we get Leonard Fournette at 28, I think that would be a very, very exciting start to have the elite level wide receiver locked in with Cooper Kupp, and then to also have a Leonard Fournette and Alvin Kamara holding down the running back position. And yeah, Michael Pittman off the board here, pick 27. I don't get it. I don't get it. Michael Pittman's big. Michael Pittman's tall. Michael Pittman looks the part of an alpha X wide receiver. I understand, but at the same time, last year he was the wide receiver 28 on a points per game basis. Even if you expect Matt Ryan to be a quarterback upgrade, how much of an upgrade are you getting from Carson Wentz to 37, 38-year-old Matt Ryan, where you were able to now go through and take Michael Pittman over T. Higgins? Take Michael Pittman over Leonard Fournette. Oh, my. I'll never understand it. I will never. But Ed Boy actually ends up getting T. Higgins at pick 29. I think you can be very excited about the T. Higgins selection at pick 29. Okay. Johnny says, Mason, you got to give us time on the Russell Wilson content. We can't rush this. I'm pushing for the real thing. I'm going to do all I can to get Russell Wilson to record a clip. We must. Oh, Johnny. I'll tell you. We'll get that clip inserted in as many videos as humanly possible if you can pull that off. Don't expect it to be able to happen, but it would be awesome. Now, let's see Gabriel Davis going to Noah at pick 38. Noah, you got to let me know your thought process in the live chat right now. Let me know where you stand. Gabriel Davis, pick 38. Personally, I'm not a fan. Personally, it's going to be very hard for me to go through and take Gabriel Davis over someone like Hollywood Brown, who's been able to average a target share of 25% over the past 2 years. But I know you're a smart guy, my man. I want to hear your thought process on this. Okay. So now we have Hollywood Brown, Jerry Jeudy off the board. So it looks like we have a wide receiver run happening. I mean, this is why you have to go through. You have to take Cooper Kupp at pick 4. It's a no-brainer. You go Cooper Kupp at pick 4. We can hammer running back value directly after. I mean, we may end up getting Breece Hall falling to us at pick 45. If we get Breece Hall goes 43. Let's sit here and think about this for a second. We probably end up going elite quarterback and tight end on the turn, as we always do, unless we get Ezekiel Elliott. I guess we get Ezekiel Elliott. Let's continue to take these old dusty running backs. We are going to get an elite level quarterback almost guaranteed to us on the way back around. If we don't get an elite level quarterback, that means it's because teams wanted to go Mahomes, Lamar, Herbert, and then we end up getting one of the elite level tight ends making it to us. But I think we have to take Zeke here. Let me know your thought process on this. Obviously, this is an old start at the running back position. Usually the running back position is not an old man's game. It is what it is. I feel like we got him at strong values. You have Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson going off the board here at the very end of the 4th. I'd imagine that team that decided to take Juju Smith-Schuster at pick 46 ends up getting Patrick Mahomes at 51, as we see Michael Thomas go off the board right now. Okay. Now we have Michael Thomas, 49. Let's move this over. Not dying to take Cam Akers here. I mean, I do think that Cam Akers is a very strong value. But at the same time, I think that this is how we break it down. Wide receivers, I'm never drafting a wide receiver in this range. Like, I would even make the argument Dobbins would be more. Yeah, Dobbins is definitely more appealing than any receiver here. But instead, let's go ahead. Let's grab the elite level tight end. Let's take Darren Waller. I mean, with Darren Waller, yes, we have to assume that the overall target volume is down based on the addition of Davante Adams in Las Vegas. But at the same time, this is a player that we've seen be able to average 8 targets per game before. And on top of this, with Darren Waller, what happens if we have a Hunter Renfrow injury? What happens if we do have an injury to Davante Adams? Is it a player that can be the tight end 1 overall in fantasy? Let's go through. Let's invest into the man. I think it's a completely fair price point. If you're going to be looking at like Rashad Bateman going the pick right after him. Dre coming out says, TBH, one $2,500 draft is way better odds than $250 $10 entries. 2 entry max with only 72 entries. You may have to shoot your shot on one. Yeah, so if you look at that, this is why I really do like the $250 drafts on Underdog. Getting right to what you're saying. If you look at the rake taken out by Underdog, because of course, Underdog's not a charity. They sponsor this channel. They pay me when you sign up with promo code FLOCK. They pay you when you sign up with promo code FLOCK because you get that first deposit match dollar for dollar up to 100, and they get you our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. They're not a charity. The way they make money is they get that rake in every single draft. And if you go through and look at like the rakes across drafts, so Best Ball Mania is going to be that contest where Underdog, it's their $10 million contest, $25 buy-in. That has an 11% rake. And if you go and look at like the $250 drafts instead of the $25, the rake goes down to 8%. And if you look at the $2,500 draft, the rake goes down even further than this. This is what you see from really anything that you look at in this space. I mean, this is very similar to like poker, for instance. If you're going to enter in a poker tournament, yeah, the $2,500 entry is a 5% rake, which is pretty close to absolutely nothing. So I get where you're coming from, but do I have $2,500 to just go through and throw into some drafts? Like we've said this time and time again, I know a lot of people want us to see us in one. I can do 10 $250 drafts, or I can do one $2,500. I feel like we have to go through. I think we have to do the 10 $250 drafts. They're just too much fun to be able to just decide to not have all that action. Now we have Kyler Murray at pick 62. It would have been really nice to have an elite level quarterback making it back to us at 69. I mean, I guess we could still have Jalen Hurts. I know a lot of people are going to be willing to push up Trey Lance. I got to imagine the George Kittle team at pick 67 ends up going with Trey Lance, even if Jalen Hurts were to fall. Riley coming out, thank you, my friend, says, friend dropped Tony Pollard. I'm a Zeke owner. Should I pick him up? Hell yes, go pick up Tony Pollard. I don't give a damn if you have Ezekiel Elliott or not. Tony Pollard is someone that belongs on a roster. I mean, if we look at the wide receiver core currently in Dallas, literally with injuries to Michael Gallup, James Washington, with the departure of both Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson, there are going to be so many, and I repeat, so many targets available in Dallas that maybe they throw them out there in the slot. I don't know. I wasn't going to say that until the James Washington injury, but now I think it's more likely than it was beforehand. Eric coming out says, with the 102 and a 1-point PPR redraft, are you ever considering taking Jefferson Kupp over Christian McCaffrey in a league where we start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 2 flex spots? No, sir. You go through, you take Christian McCaffrey. Like, you have to take CMC at pick 2. Like, you play fantasy football to get first. You don't play fantasy football to get 6th. Obviously a low floor player, but nobody has a higher ceiling. The only player I'm taking over Christian McCaffrey is going to be Jonathan Taylor. Okay. So we get Elijah Mitchell here. Honestly, Elijah Mitchell is, in my opinion, easily the best value on the board. But if we're looking at our team right now, look at this. Cooper Kupp at wide receiver, Darren Waller at tight end. And then after that, we have Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Elijah Mitchell. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we get some wide receiver value making it back to us that we like. I think that because this is a private draft and we don't have to just shoot for the highest ceiling possible, we could potentially look to go through and grab another running back in the later rounds. Of course, running back's not going to be draftable here for us at pick 76, but we'll see what happens. Now, Pump coming out, thank you, my friend, says, I have the 5th pick in my draft. If the draft goes in a normal order of Taylor, CMC, Jefferson, and Kupp, should I draft Eckler, Chase, or someone else? Previously, if you could start 2 wide receivers with 2 flex spots, I would have told you to go ahead and take Jamar Chase. But based on the injury to Isaiah Spiller, based on how we're seeing, you can easily find value in shallow fantasy football drafts later on at the position. I think that we have to go through. I think that we just have to fire up Austin Eckler at pick 5. I mean, Austin Eckler's an elite level receiving running back and an elite level offense. Okay. So at this point, who do we want to go with? I know everybody and their mom's screaming at me, going, Mason, you clown, take Allen Lazard here. You probably have a point. You probably have a point to take the wide receiver 1 on paper for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see the floor there, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like with Allen Lazard, I think that this is a player that is probably the most likely bet to be that wide receiver one in Green Bay, but I don't exactly know how likely that is. I don't see him being a special player at all. Literally an undrafted free agent that has never had higher than like a 13% team target share. Okay. Now we have a Russell Wilson off the board at pick 80, Joe Burrow 77. Usually I would consider Burrow in the 7th round if we would have taken T. Higgins, if we would have decided to take Jamar Chase in round 1. Like in that kind of build, 100% you're going to want to go with the Joe Burrow. But I think we should just lock in a second wide receiver. Bobcat says, would you do the 24-hour live stream on the weekend? Honestly, no. I would probably do it on like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just because, to be completely honest with you, that's when the majority of the YouTube views are there. Like, let's go through. Let me see how far away we are from 90,000 subscribers. Like, we're going to be cutting it close. We are at about 81.2 thousand. Like, we should hit that this live stream easily. But we hit 80,000, 2 nights ago? So if we're averaging like 600 subscribers a day and we need to get an extra 9,000, that's 15 days. The season starts in, I think, September 8th? The season starts in 14 days. So we need to keep at this pace and maybe even speed up a little bit. So it's going to be cutting it down to the very end. So maybe I don't even have a choice. Maybe I just have to do it like the Wednesday before kickoff if we actually get there. Now we have Ramondre Stevenson off the board. TJ Hawkinson goes directly at 85. Very interesting to get Noah taking Dallas Goedert here. Obviously, Goddard's had some hype as of late, and I will stand by the fact that I think Goedert is a truly special talent. It is a pretty bad situation when we're expecting this to be a rush-first offense in Philadelphia. But if you're just betting on the talent, yeah, I think you can be excited about Goedert. Okay, we have Tony Pollard, Damien Pierce off the board, 86, 87. Derek says Mixon at pick 6. I would say, like, sure. Go ahead, complain about Mixon at pick 6 in underdog. But when it comes to just a shallow, casual fantasy football league, can we really be complaining about it? Like, in reality, what are you supposed to do in the middle of the first in a shallow format other than just kind of hammering your running backs? Like, I know when we play in leagues like this where you can start up the 4 wide receivers every single week, it's a no-brainer to go ahead, like take Cooper Kupp where we did at pick 4. But you really have to adjust to those shallow leagues. Like, they play completely differently. Okay. We're going to lock in an elite-level quarterback here. Whether that's Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, we'll see what Ed Boyd decides to give us. I mean, we can't really take a running back here. Wide receiver Marcus Valdez-Scantling isn't too appealing. So let's just lock in one of these quarterbacks, whether that's a Tom Brady or a Dak. We're going to go Brady in this instance. We have Leonard Fournette. I guess you could make the argument, hell, we also have Ezekiel Elliott, so we could get the correlation with Dak Prescott that way. I would argue that the quarterback-running back correlation is probably going to be stronger in Tampa, given the fact that Tom Brady should have a higher checkdown rate to Leonard Fournette than the amount of targets per game that you're going to be getting for an Ezekiel Elliott. And also, with Tom Brady, it's very easy for us to get Russell Gage, Julio Jones at the end of the 10th and the beginning of the 11th round. So I think it's a natural pick to go ahead and to take Tom Brady here. And there's the outside chance we end up getting a Dak Prescott making it back around to us as well. And real quick, we are about 180 likes away from firing up another draft after this one. If you want to see another draft, if you want to give us a shot to get to that 90,000 subscriber mark to get a 24-hour live stream going, fix your life. Go down there, drop a like. It's completely free, guys. It takes you 1 second. I've dedicated my life to this. We live stream every single night for 200 nights in a row. I've given up everything for y'all. Obviously, I'm joking. This is my life. I haven't given up anything. Okay, so now we have Dak Prescott off the board, 96. That definitely does suck. I mean, it would have been really nice to have Dak Prescott on the way back around to pick 100, specifically in a best ball format. A shallow casual league, you're never going to be considering taking 2 quarterbacks here on the turn, but obviously in a best ball format, it is a little bit different. So let's see what they decide to do after Dak. I mean, at this point, we still probably want to be bringing in wide receivers. I mean, we've talked about this at length, but going ahead and taking Dawson Knox here is just something I'm never going to do. Yeah, so let's go. Let's take, I hate to do this, guys. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Treylon Burks is the easiest pick here. I mean, usually you love looking at Treylon Burks and seeing that elite level ceiling he'll have down the stretch if we do get that late season rookie breakout. And in a regular fantasy football league, it's a no-brainer. I go ahead, I take Treylon Burks every chance I get. Now, in this private draft, it's a little bit different because you don't have the fantasy football playoffs. It's just who can score the most points weeks 1 through 17, as we've already discussed so many times. So you do have to skew a little more veteran heavy for those guys that are going to have a role immediately in their offense. But still, let's go ahead. Let's take Treylon Burks. DMB says, why does everybody hate Dawson Knox? I don't necessarily hate Dawson Knox. I hate the price point on Dawson Knox. I mean, if you look at his air yards per game, if you look at his yards per route run, this is a tight end that, in my opinion, is not any different than Robert Tonyan. They're both tight ends that were fueled in their breakout seasons by unsustainable touchdown rates, and the underlying metrics below weren't impressive. I think that if we're looking at paying up the price for the tight end coming off a hot season with touchdowns in an elite level offense, why am I doing it with Dawson Knox at pick 98 when we can get Robert Tonyan in the 14th round? So it's not necessarily anything against Knox himself. It's just against the price point they have to pay. Okay. So now after we take Treylon Burks, obviously we're still kind of hoping we get wide receivers on the way back around, but George Pickens, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd, all off the board. And let me know in the live chat right now, who do y'all prefer? Are you going with Treylon Burks or George Pickens? Adam says he just had Treylon Burks fall to him at pick 127. Dear God. Gonzaga coming out says, have the 6th pick in a 12-team PPR format. Who are your top 3 or 4 players to pick from the 6th spot? I was thinking 0 running back if Justin Jefferson's there and an elite tight end on the way back. 0 running back, I do think is a viable strategy if you understand where to implement it. If you're playing in a league where you can start 4 or 5 wide receivers, whether that's you have 3 starting wide receiver slots and 2 additional flexes, where we can go out there, we can just hammer in wide receivers early and we can beat our league mates every single week at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, flex 1, flex 2, especially if we grab an elite quarterback and elite level tight end, you'll be able to sacrifice some production at the running back slots through the first few months of the season until you find a waiver wire pickup. But if you're playing in that shallow redraft format where it's just wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, flex, going 0 running back just simply doesn't make sense in that kind of league because it's going to be so hard for you to be able to catch back up with the lack of running back production that you'll have specifically at the beginning of the season as well. So if it's that shallow format, honestly, my man, I just think you go tier 2 running back right away. And then after that, I think you fire up, I hate to say this, an elite level tight end and almost just punt wide receiver through the first few rounds. Okay. Same is coming out, says ADP aside, would you rather have Dawson Knox or Isaiah McKenzie? Dawson Knox, because he plays at the tight end position. I mean, just obviously the natural points per game you're going to be getting from tight end versus a slot wide receiver that's going to be pretty much identical to everything you have on the waiver wire. If we ignore ADP, yeah, give me the guy who can slide into my tight end slot. Now, Garrett Wilson off the board at 113 here. Obviously, Chase Claypool is a big-time follower as of late. Cordell Patterson is an intriguing value. Y'all know we want Stafford when we have Cooper Kupp. I don't know if we get Stafford, though. I don't want to get my hopes up here. Okay, so Cheeky Opson on the clock. They have Allen at quarterback. They go Cole Kmet, 114. Very interesting here. Stafford off the board, so sadly we don't get him. I guess maybe we go ahead. Do we take Chase Claypool when he's falling to us a big wide receiver 51? Or do we just... Let's go Claypool. It is what it is. I don't think any of these wide receivers stand out from the rest. I know we're going to have a lot of people saying, Mason, you got to get the Tampa Bay stack. Go ahead and take Julio Jones and then Russell Gage. In reality, I think that we're completely fine just getting one of those guys, just having the double stack there with Tom Brady. Yes, we're betting on that Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, but we already have Leonard Fournette and Brady. I think if we just get one of those wide receivers on the way back around, it's going to be completely fine. And I think this is, I don't want to say fair price point for Chase Claypool, but definitely a lot more manageable compared to where he was being drafted at the end of the 9th round. Whenever this was a wide receiver that was being drafted, like 5 rounds before George Pickens at one point? 6 rounds before George Pickens at one point? Okay. So let's move this down. And we are 100 likes away on the live stream from firing up another draft. So if you have not dropped a like on the stream, fix your life. Go down there, drop that like ASAP. And here, actually, no, never mind. Cordell Patterson's off the board. I was going to say Cordell Patterson is an absurd value if we end up getting him. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, never mind. We end up getting Russell Gage. We get our guy regardless. I think we made the right call there with Chase Claypool and Russell Gage. So far at running back, I mean, we are just a retirement home. Literally, we are a retirement home right now at running back with Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Elijah Mitchell. Not necessarily that old, obviously, going into year 2. We are also, I guess, a retirement home at quarterback when we have Tom Brady. Wide receiver, we're trying to catch up. We have Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Treylon Burks, Chase Claypool, Russell Gage. We have the elite level tight end in Darren Waller. I really like this team. I think that if this was a tournament build on Underdog, wouldn't necessarily be that excited, but in a private draft, I think this is pretty good. Sam coming out says, work draft, 10th pick, full PPR. We went Lance, Swift, Leonard Fournette, Justin Jefferson, Mike Williams, Mark Andrews, Breece Hall, Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy, Chase Edmonds, Devonta Smith, Tony Pollard, Damian Pierce, and Sky Moore. Okay, assuming that this is a 12-team league, great team. No idea how the hell you ended up getting Justin Jefferson falling to you at pick 10. I obviously go Deandre Swift in the second, but then somehow get Leonard Fournette in the... Okay, your work is probably like a daycare. And when you say work draft, it's probably you're at work, but you're drafting with the kids that you were watching because, dear God, who the hell is letting you get Justin Jefferson, Leonard Fournette, Deandre Swift, and Mark Andrews all on the same team? How is that even possible? Having the elite level quarterback still with Trey Lance, crazy, crazy, crazy. If we were to look to make any moves on this team, like Brandon Cooks is obviously someone with a very high median projection, a very high floor given the volume that he's going to command in Houston. But at the same time, with just the overall lack of upside, in my opinion, based on how that offense is going to be capped, I think I would be interested in just going through and potentially looking to package Brandon Cooks with one of those pieces on your bench, maybe packaging a Brandon Cooks with like a Damien Pierce as well as a Sky Moore, and seeing what we could get in return, because you are already so loaded with that build. We just kind of got to chase the highest ceiling possible. Okay. So Gainwell off the board 133. Pat Frymuth off the board 134. Jack coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, should I give up Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, and Antonio Gibson for J.K. Dobbins and A.J. Dillon in a 12-team half PPR dynasty? Okay, thank you for clarifying it's dynasty. At this point, I would say, honestly, obviously, Jacobs and Antonio Gibson are plummeting in value. And people are currently worried about Breece Hall. Don't overthink it. I understand it was a preseason game. Like, let's, instead of looking at a one-game sample of Breece Hall in the preseason, let's take a step back. Like, let's look at his overall prospect profile. And in my opinion, he's still going to be someone that we want to go through. We want to make that bet on where we can. In a dynasty fantasy football format, Breece Hall is the top 5 running back for me. Dear God, that's a tough deal. That is a tough. I hate to give you this cop-out answer, but I think it's your personal preference. It's the laziest answer I could ever give. If it's a shallow format, maybe you go ahead, keep the stud in Breece Hall. If it's a deeper league, maybe you take both viable players in Dobbins and A.J. Dillon. Be completely honest with you, I'm probably rolling with Breece there. Probably rolling with Breece. Okay, here we take Devontae Parker. In a best ball format, I think we're actually strong enough at wide receiver. Obviously, we have someone that can be the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy with Cooper Kupp there at pick 4. Beyond that, we have Christian Kirk, Treylon Burks, Chase Claypool, Russell Gage, Devontae Parker. We have the elite level quarterback. I really like how this team turned out. I really do. Shea says, let's take a step back and ask who he plays for. I mean, if y'all did not watch our Dynasty channel, you have no idea how much hate I got specifically around the NFL draft when I was coming out saying, you know what? Yeah, the Jets made some good moves, but at the end of the day, they're the Jets. This is going to be a trash offense. This is going to be a horrible team. I got an obnoxious amount of hate for that take. I stand by it. I think the Jets are going to be atrocious, a train wreck, as I've always said once we saw Zach Wilson in his rookie season. But at the same time, running backs can overcome bad offenses with just a ridiculous amount of volume. This is what we saw from James Robinson being like the running back 6 his rookie season. Not saying that's exactly what we get this upcoming year with Breece Hall, but come on. I think we can see these running backs, specifically with that Breece Hall mold, just go out there and dominate the touches on a per game basis, where it doesn't even matter that this offense doesn't present them with too much touchdown upside. Okay, so let's move this down. We have Christian Watson off the board here, pick 150. We're going to just continue to hammer in these wide receivers that we think can have strong roles. I mean, if we were going to be looking at Michael Carter fall into us at 148, Michael Carter has been someone we're taking a lot here just because he should have that role in the receiving game to start the season. And then beyond that, we know that he should have that contingency value if Breece Hall were to get hurt later on in the year. But so hard to take Isaiah Spiller in this league whenever you're looking at Isaiah Spiller as a player. Obviously, dealing with that injury, not only dealing with an injury, but at the same time, hell, reports are saying that it was Joshua Kelly's job from the get-go. Now, Cameron says, would you make a video going through some old May/June drafts for fun? Drafted a bunch with you and had some laughs going through them. Oh, dear God. I don't want to look at those, my friend. If I were to look at it, what I would do is I would cherry pick drafts where we look like geniuses. I would cherry pick the drafts where, ladies and gentlemen, I got news for you. I entered in that $250 draft to see where it would fill, what pick we would get. This just filled. If y'all want to see that $250 draft, make sure you go down there, drop a like on the live stream if you have not done so already. And I have great news for you. Y'all know we have been in a bad spot in these $250 drafts, just getting nasty pick after nasty pick after nasty pick. Picking at the 107, picking at the 111, picking at the 112. We're not dealing with that tonight, boys. We are not dealing with that tonight. 101, Jonathan Taylor. Lock it in here. JT, lock it in. You have Austin Eckler off the board at pick 3. We have talked about Eckler, I think, now being a viable pick here with the Isaiah Spiller injury. It still does seem pretty aggressive, if you're going to ask me. But, yeah, no. Jonathan Taylor, easy. Derek says Mason is scared of drafting with me in the 250 now. I am scared, my friend. The other day, whenever we were in the lobby, I think I shot you a message on Discord to let you know. But genuinely, it's just I don't want to have to sit there and wait in the lobby forever. And I think it's a natural warm-up if we go about it that way. Now, Cooper Kupp off the board at 106. So that team at pick 6 getting a blessing here with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp at pick 6. That is just ridiculous value. Derrick Henry off the board at 7. The Bears on the clock. Literally, this $250 draft room, like, these are just all the regulars. This is who we're used to drafting with. This is who we have to deal with all the time. It is what it is. I can't sit here and cry about it. I mean, obviously, these are some of the best drafters in the world. Having to go up against CSU Ram in every single draft. Yeah, I think he always takes Devontae Adams here. Okay. So now let's see what's best player available. You have Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Kelsey on the board. Let's see what order they go. Dalvin Cook right off here at 10. Joe Mixon at 11, going before Kelsey at this point. It's hard for me to root like, oh no, don't take Kelsey. Like, obviously, it doesn't matter what this team does here. It's not really going to impact us when we're picking at pick 24 and 25. And I have a sneaky feel. I have a suspicion that this may be a team where we go ahead and we go with the hyper-fragile builds. I don't know why, but I'm feeling this deep down in my gut. I have a feeling that we may end up going Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette. And then crying ourselves to sleep when we ruin the rest of the draft. But Joe Mixon and Kamara on the same build here at 11-14. Kelsey's still available. Goes to CSU Ram at 16. Dear God. Getting Kelsey at 16 is literally just a cheat code. Pulls back around. We are going to be up on the clock in 7 picks. The Bears currently on. They have Stephon Diggs. Ryan says, is this the 250 draft? Yes, sir. This is the $250 draft. Oh, dear God. So if you have not dropped a like, make sure you drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. We are racing towards 90,000 subs before the season starts. I need your help with it, ladies and gentlemen. I definitely need your help with it. Okay. Aaron Jones, Deebo Samuel. No big surprises here. I'd say maybe the biggest surprise is where we had Alvin Kamara go off the board, where we're looking at Travis Kelce falling to 16, but that has absolutely no impact on us, as we already said. Tyreek Hill has been falling a considerable amount as well. There's a decent chance we get Tyreek Hill at pick 24. Javonte Williams off the board, 20. I don't even know what to root for here. Like, hopefully they don't make us go Leonard Fournette and Nick Chubb. Let me look up AJ Brown on Twitter real quick to see some hype clips. Maybe have to hype herself up for some AJ Brown at pick 24, 25. Okay. Yeah. God, AJ Brown, just clips of him. It makes you excited. Of course it's going to make you excited. Now, Tyreek Hill off the board 22 here. This team took Christian McCaffrey at the second selection. I mean, that is standard at this point. AJ Brown gone. I guess we go ahead. We just take both Tampa players with Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette. Get that correlation in here in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. Don't just get completely locked out of wide receiver. Still be able to find a good running back value here. And as we said, we are going to get some correlation in. I'm concerned slightly with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. If we're going to be looking at the offensive line turnover that they have from last season, I think 100% that needs to be a real thing that we look at. But still, hell, it's Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette at the turn. What we are going to really hope for is what we had in the last build. We are really going to hope that we end up getting Tom Brady falling to us at pick 96. We can't take Tom Brady at 73. There's no way in hell we can do that. But there is an outside chance that we can just go ahead. We can take Brady at 96. Okay. And of course, if y'all want to get in our next draft, it doesn't have to be in a $250 draft. We do a ton of $3 private drafts, $5 private drafts in the live stream, so you can draft with us. These are best ball drafts, so it's no time commitment at all during the season. So it's great for you to get in some extra drafts besides the league that you really care about. You can go to the link in the description, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. And when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get my 2022 fantasy football rankings, our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, which will help you even if you've already had your draft. It's 300 pages. And then beyond that, you're going to get to have some fun getting some of these best ball drafts with us. And you can come out here and laugh at me at the end of the season when you beat us down. Okay. But now we have T. Higgins falling to pick 30 here. I've noticed T. Higgins consistently falling to the middle of the third round at this point. Love the value you're getting with Higgins. Love the value that you get with Nick Chubb at 28 as well. There's some very strong teams so far through this draft. Josh Allen goes at 32 to the Stephon Diggs build. Where you expect Josh Allen to go, like not too much for us to discuss here. Come on. What does CSU Ram decide to do? DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton. I always like watching what he decides to do. He goes DJ Moore 33. Don't know if that was an auto. I'd imagine it wasn't, but DJ Moore was at the top of ADP. DJ Moore would have been my favorite player here. So James Conner goes to the team at 10. The team at 10 so far having that hyper fragile build where they go Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, and James Conner through the first three. Very, very, very interesting there. Travis Etienne off the board 36. So at this point, I wouldn't expect any more running backs to go off anytime soon. And dear God, hopefully I did not just break my phone. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Whew. I was having to try to get in finish that other draft off on my phone. But Sutton goes, Allen Robinson off the board as well. Let's see if this team here decides to take Ezekiel Elliott. If they take Ezekiel Elliott, no, they go Juju Smith-Schuster. I was going to say, if they take Ezekiel Elliott, we 100% need to be adjusting our overall strategy. But no, it looks like we're good. Looks like we don't have too much to be worrying about at this point. I mean, maybe we even get Ezekiel Elliott, Breece Hall falling to us. In the $250 draft we had in the live stream last night, we ended up getting Breece Hall one pick away from us. He went at pick 56. We were on the clock at 57. We almost had him. I think if we want to take Breece Hall, he should be there at pick 48, 49. Okay, so Gabe Davis off the board. I can't call it Gabriel Davis, Gabe Davis. I don't know why all these names are getting switched up on Underdog on me, but it's Gabriel Davis. I'm not calling him Gabe Davis. Okay, so Deontay Johnson off the board as well. So you do have a run on wide receivers happening. So if we don't get Terry McLaurin or Juju Smith-Schuster, we're probably not taking a receiver unless we see something absolutely crazy happen where we feel like we have to. But at this point, I think that we're pretty safe to say that we're locked into our usual turn of events here. Elite level quarterback, elite level tight end, the 4-5 turn. Unless something crazy happens. Ezekiel Elliott off the board, pick 44. What's the report that you have with Breece Hall adjusting to pro game? Oh, dear God, this is the longest thing I've ever read. Hall, who logged a heavy workload for Iowa State last season, is adjusting to working in the Jets running back group that also includes Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman. I'm progressing every day, Hall said, but learning this offense has been kind of different to what I did in college. There are a lot more nuances and a lot of little things that I'm still learning. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to worry about this too much. I know he fell to the 5th in that other $250 draft we did. I'm taking Breece Hall here. I think we go Breece Hall, and then do we take Mahomes or do we go Waller? I don't think we can take Akers here. Let's go Mahomes. Keep in mind, this is also a league where 4 teams advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament weeks 15, 16, 17. We are trying to back half our production there. I think Breece Hall can be a top 10 running back easily in the second half of the season. So I think it makes a lot of sense to take him here. Okay. So let's move this over. And we are going with a pseudo hyper fragile build. I know a lot of people that are smart would just go ahead. They would stop taking running backs when they have Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, and Breece Hall on the same roster. Personally, I'm probably not going to stop. I'm probably still going to hammer in 1 to 2 more running backs later on, depending on which guy we go with in which round. But yeah, we decided to take Patrick Mahomes here at pick 49. I don't necessarily have any strong takes with it. I just think that the wide receivers in this range don't have the same level of upside that they did in years past. Like if we were looking at an Amon-Ra St. Brown, potentially the third option in the passing game in Detroit, depending on how things break down for the final half of the season once Jameson Williams comes back and is healthy. Very difficult for me to take him over Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. Benjamin says, why Mahomes over Waller? Just because I have had the experience in these $250 high-stakes drafts where teams are willing to push up the elite level quarterbacks. I don't know why. Please, if y'all been watching a lot of these drafts with us, let me know if you think I'm just going crazy in the live chat. But I think that usually you do have these quarterbacks pushed up in these $250 leagues. And one thing that I don't want to say this out loud. I don't know if we have anybody out here watching this live stream in this draft. I'll say it out loud. I doubt anybody's in here watching. Mark Andrews, George Kittle on the same team. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller on the same team. Be prepared for these tight ends to be hard to come by later on. Like, dear God, how often do you see this? How often do you see this? I'm not going to lie. If I got Darren Waller falling to us at pick 57, I would 100% take Waller, even if I already had Kelce. Like, just great start so far there. Same thing. Like, I guess if you're looking at the Andrews builds, I don't see the incentive to go ahead and take Kittle where you can still get a Cam Akers. You can still get a J.K. Dobbins, a running back that, in my opinion, has an elite level ceiling. But it is interesting. Lance goes here at 60 before Kyler Murray and before Jalen Hurts. Y'all know I've been like the #1 fanboy of Trey Lance for God knows how long. You can't take Trey Lance here. You cannot take Lance over Kyler. You can't take Lance over Jalen Hurts. I've been Lance's #1 fanboy. I was taking him in the first round of Dynasty Startups last year. I was taking him at the beginning of the second round of Dynasty Startups last year. Doing the same thing this offseason. He's probably spent, hundreds of hours of my time just hyping up Trey Lance. But to take him over Kyler Murray, to take him over Jalen Hurts, damn, that is a tough thing to do. Very tough thing to do. Okay. But T. Shaw coming out, thank you, my friend, says 12-team PPR, Lance, Tua, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall. How? How the hell? Jonathan Taylor, Swift, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, Cordell Patterson, Brian Robinson, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, Tony, Elijah Moore, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, and Waller. Okay, we have three flex spots here. Saying, do I need to trade depth for a quarterback? No, not in this league. In this league where you have 3 flex spots, depth is actually going to matter a crap ton. Like usually I'm going through telling people like, oh, based on this format, you need to just take whatever bench wide receiver you have, package them with any starter in your starting lineup for an upgrade. But no, here, if we can start up to 5 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis, I'm actually going to be punting quarterback here. I'd be fine to go ahead and stream. Okay, but Dr. Stanky Leg just hammering in these wide receivers. Derrick Henry round 1, going with the hero RB build. Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and Darnell Mooney. Very interesting. And then you have Kyler Murray and Josh Allen on the same roster as well. I'll swing this back around. Okay, what's going on with Michael Thomas here? Michael Thomas falling to pick 68. Is this an injury we need to be concerned about? Obviously, David Montgomery falling. That's not something that we are unfamiliar with in a $250 draft. Usually you have those running backs like a David Montgomery, like a Josh Jacobs, just plummeting in drafts. Okay. So now Drake London, 69. Swag's on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. They have no quarterback yet. I guess they didn't take. This is what I'm looking at. Let's see. This team went Amon-Ra St. Brown in the last round. They've been willing to reach on their guys. I mean, they've reached on everyone they've taken outside of CMC and Herbert. But we are going to go ahead. Y'all know, usually I do not like Dalton Schultz here. Usually I think this is too early for Dalton Schultz. But as we pointed out earlier on this live stream, let me go through. Let me show you exactly what happened. And we have to take David Montgomery. Guys, I get it. I know why people aren't excited about David Montgomery, but it's pick 72. We're going to go David Montgomery, and we aren't going to take another running back. We're just going to hammer in wide receivers from here. But the reason we have to take Dalton Schultz is you have Mark Andrews, George Kittle on the same roster. You have Travis Kelce, Darren Waller on the same roster. I think that in a lot of other drafts, I go ahead, I take a wide receiver over Dalton Schultz here. But you already got guys like Drake London off the board. I'm very worried that these tight ends are going to slide up elsewhere. So we are going to be desperate at finding wide receivers later on. Of course, we are desperate to find these wide receivers later on. But what am I supposed to do here? Am I supposed to take Christian Kirk over David Montgomery? Is that what y'all want from me? Let me know. Let me know. Is that what y'all want from me? But Sky Dude coming out says, oh, what up, Mason? Thanks for all the help today. About to start my draft. Any last minute advice in a 10-team full PPR format? I'm at the 105. Thanks, man. Okay, so what we do in this format, honestly, probably not great when we have to start 3 wide receivers and depth of position is going to matter so much. But if you're in a 10-team shallow redraft format, hell, it's probably the way to go about it. It's probably a good idea to just go through and hammer in these running back values when you can. Grab the elite level quarterback, grab the elite level tight end. So, yeah, let's say that my draft is probably bad in this format, but in your format, probably the way to go about it. Hayden says Mason wins the Texas Hold'em stream. Would be a pretty fun time. Would be a pretty fun time. I am a poker diehard. I don't want to pretend that I'm that good at poker, but if I am not thinking about fantasy football, I am thinking about poker. Like I had convinced myself, like probably 4 years ago in college, that I was going to become I don't know. I'd convinced myself that I was good enough at math that I could become a professional poker player. Literally all I would do is walk around, listen to either fantasy football podcast or poker podcast nonstop. Just never got into solvers just because I'm not smart enough to do it, but I am a pretty big fan of poker. Now, we have Amari Cooper 81, Devonta Smith 80. True says any fantasy basketball content this season. Yeah, we actually just brought on 2 fantasy basketball guys that are extremely smart. So if you like our channel for that, I think you're really going to like Will and Canyon. Obviously, I'm not smart enough to go through and give you some solid fantasy basketball advice. Okay, so we have TJ Hawkinson off the board, pick 82. Amari Cooper falls to 81. This is the furthest I've seen Amari Cooper fall in a long time now. That's just crazy value with Amari. Kadarius Toney off the board as well. We clearly want wide receivers making it back. Like, it would be very nice to end up getting, say, a Tom Brady 96 and then just getting another respectable wide receiver 97. We just can't really take another running back. We already have Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Breece Hall, and David Montgomery. Benjamin asking if we've taken a wide receiver yet. Hey, we have Mike Evans. We have Mike Evans, my man. Don't disrespect us like that. Renfro going off the board 84. Usually, I'm excited to see Hunter Renfro go. Usually, I'm never drafting a Renfro in this range. But this is probably a draft we could have used them. I don't want to act like we were above taking Hunter Renfro here. Damien Pierce off. I'm never drafting Damien Pierce. If this is the price point for Damien Pierce, I'm never taking him. If you have to take him over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, count me out. Now, let's see what happens after this. Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board 86. Good for us. Get these running backs gone. What's the report on Miles Sanders? Absent again. This is literally the same report we've read. Like, do they just repost it every 12 hours? They just go through, oh yeah, Miles Sanders, just to let you know he's not in practice. Just let you know Miles Sanders dealing with hamstring injury. Oh, thank you so much for letting me know that. What would I have done without this report? But let's scroll this back around. I'm just a little salty because obviously we want to see Miles Sanders off this draft board. We want to get another running back gone. Chris Olave off at 89. Olave would have been someone that we were looking at. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers will be high priority here for us. We have Patrick Mahomes. We only have one wide receiver, and that's Mike Evans. We are desperate for wide receiver help. Sky Moore, Marquez Valdes-Scantling are a couple options I think we could feel confident with. These are the only guys we can even look at. I don't want to say this is the order we would draft them. I'm not giving away the order that we would draft these guys. But this is the player pool that we're looking at. Rashad Penny off the board, 91. And real quick, if you want for us to have some luck, if you want Sky Moore or Marcus Valdes-Scantling to fall back to us, which we so desperately need in a $250 draft, go down there, drop a like in the live stream, send us some good vibes, send us some luck. MVS is off the board. You weren't fast enough dropping that like. Drop it now so we get Sky Moore. For the love of God, drop it now so we get Sky Moore. Highly unlikely, though. Yeah, Sky Moore off. Crap. Ladies and gentlemen, wide receiver's getting gross. Wide receiver is getting gross. This team on the clock has 4 running backs. Their 4 running backs are Eckler, Dillon, Jacobs, Chase Edmonds. Would love for them to YOLO it into another RB here. Romeo. Oh, what? What? Pick 94? Romeo to pick 94? What are we doing? Okay, so Dawson Knox on the board. We're going to go ahead. I guess we are getting some correlation in here. If we take both Tennessee Titans wide receivers, I wanted to convince myself to go Dallas Goedert. As we were talking about earlier, I think tight ends are going to just naturally slide up to these draft boards when you have the same team pairing up Kelsey and Darren Waller and the same team pairing up Mark Andrews and George Kittle. But when we are so desperate for wide receiver in a league where you have to start 3 of these guys, to go through and to just lock in both Tennessee Titans guys, I think it does make a decent amount of sense. So far at running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Breece Hall, David Montgomery. Wide receiver, we have Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks. At quarterback, we have Patrick Mahomes. And at tight end, we have Dalton Schultz. I think it's a reasonable start. I don't want to come out here and act like it's the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. It's going to be a lot better if we can somehow get some more running backs off this draft board. Miles Sanders off the board, pick 100. The other $250 draft we had either last night or the night before, we ended up getting like Miles Sanders a pick 105, 104, which was pretty exciting, obviously. I mean, pick 100 isn't bad. I mean, I was drafting Miles Sanders at the 7-8 turn not that long ago. Dallas Goedert finally off the board, 101. Very rarely do you see Goddard fall this far now. Like, to get Dallas Goedert after Dawson Knox, great value. I'm very jealous of that value. Okay. So now the question is, what team is the most interesting at this point? If we're going to go through, look at these builds. FSU for Cole does have a unique build where they have Andrews, Kittle at tight end. They have Lamar at quarterback. At running back, they have Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders. And a wide receiver, they have Justin Jefferson, Drake London, DeAndre Hopkins, Sky Moore. Yeah, I really like that team. I mean, if we're going to look over, I think the CSU Ram has a very unique team where he has Kelsey, Darren Waller on the same build. Beyond that, Elijah Mitchell, Ramondre Stevenson at running back, a wide receiver, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Gabriel Davis, Amari Cooper. Probably prefer the Andrews team. Probably. Now, if we're looking elsewhere, are there any other really unique teams, interesting teams? I don't necessarily think so. I mean, I think our team's somewhat unique. Like, we had one wide receiver through the first 7 rounds. Okay. Let's move this down. Driz Bud says, David Montgomery and Robert Woods are significantly worse than Christian Kirk and Kareem Hunt. Let me know in the live chat what you would prefer. Would you prefer us to go ahead and take David Montgomery and Robert Woods or Christian Kirk and Kareem Hunt? Honestly, my friend, I disagree with you. I would rather have David Montgomery and Robert Woods. I love the idea of going back and looking at where we could fix things, where we could possibly take a wide receiver here versus a running back, etc. I don't know if that's the spot. Like, I feel like it's very hard to pass up on David Montgomery, pick 72. Rodgers off the board, 109. Let me know. Okay, so we have Hunt and Kirk, David Montgomery, Robert Woods, Kirk and Hunt, Kirk, Woods, Montgomery, Kirk and Hunt, Montgomery, Woods, Kirk and Hunt. Okay, so it looks like the majority of people would rather have Christian Kirk and Kareem Hunt. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's a bad call. I am the first person to admit that I need to take an L with a ton of things. Like, every single draft, there are things I have to take L's with. I think David Montgomery, Robert Woods put up more points than Christian Kirk and Kareem Hunt. Now, let me swing this back around. Look at these running backs. The no man's land of running backs. Antonio Gibson off the board, 114. I don't even know what we're wanting here. Actually, I have an idea, but Garrett Wilson. Oh my gosh, you really have to take Wilson from us? Why? Look at these running backs. God dang. Dang is go Damien Harris. You know you want him. You know you want Damien Harris. Take him already. Get him off the strap board. Go Kenneth Walker. Yeah, Kenneth Walker gone. FSU for Cole, man. Hey, come on. It is 17 picks past ADP. You only have Nick Chubb and Miles Sanders. Why don't you go through? Why don't you bring in a Damien Harris? Is Damien Harris going to hurt you? Because Jalen Tolbert. Why? Why do you do this to us? Swag's on the clock. Nathan says, is Chris Olave gone? Yeah, Olave went like round 7 or 8. Christian Watson off the board. Stafford's an auto pick. I guess we go Gage. Love the Melvin Gordon value, but yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Matthew Stafford, Russell Gage. We do not have any Los Angeles Rams players. We don't have Akers. We don't have Kupp. We don't have, even an Allen Robinson, but am I supposed to take Joshua Palmer over Matthew Stafford? I don't think I can do that. Realistically speaking, I can't. We could still get Higbee later on. We could still get Van Jefferson later on. If everything fails, we can get an Odell Beckham Jr. in the last round. So we are continuing to build in some correlation with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense with the Russell Gage selection. Maybe this is our bet that if Julio Jones gets injured, both Mike Evans and Russell Gage outperform their ADP. Maybe the same thing we can be said about a Chris Godwin. And then we could obviously, as I said, target those Los Angeles Rams players a little later on. But this is great value with Matthew Stafford. We're taking him 4 picks before Trevor Lawrence. 4 picks before Trevor Lawrence. Okay, so Darrell Henderson off the board. GA says we need wide receivers, my friend. I agree. We need wide receivers. The gap between Joshua Palmer and whatever wide receiver we're going to be looking at pick 144, in my opinion, will be a smaller gap than the quarterback we are going to be looking at with the drop of Stafford to whoever we have at quarterback at pick 144. Like, honestly, guys, I do not think about this Stafford pick twice. Matthew Stafford at pick 120 is a pick you have to make here. You have to make. Like, we're going to be able to go through and minimum draft 9 wide receivers. Unless we get a tight end that we really like at the 12-13 turn, I'm probably going to go ahead, draft 3 tight ends if we wait till the very end of the draft, especially if we want Higbee. So, like, this was probably going to be a 2-4-9-3 build. So, I think we'll have enough bites of the apple to just get there with the wide receiver production. We're bad at wide receiver. We're very bad at wide receiver, but we are going to have so much depth. We have 2 of the Tampa guys in Mike Evans, Russell Gage, 2 of the Titans guys with Robert Woods, Treylon Burks. If those 2 offenses do well, I think that this could be a fine team. Okay. And of course, if you think that I am a sucker drafting Matthew Stafford at this point, I have the best news you are ever going to hear. I'm not just drafting tonight. No, I'm drafting tomorrow night, the night after that, 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 the night. I'm drafting every single night. So if you think you can come in here, you think you can take our money, I welcome you to do it. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You will get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide with literally a $10 deposit. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. Okay. So Kenneth Gainwell goes off the board 133. Hardman would have been someone we really wanted, but at the end of the day, we can't take Hardman. Like, I'm sorry. We were never getting Hardman. That's the better way to say it. Like, we're not expecting Mecole Hardman to make it all the way back to us here. And I don't think we can take Mecole Hardman over Russell Gage either. I don't know if we can do that. Kyle says, can you do a $3 draft after this? Yes, sir. If this live stream hits 700 likes, we are going to fire up another draft after this one. I think we are about 170 away, but if we hit 170 likes more, we will go ahead. We will get a $3 private draft going for everyone. Okay. Now, Isaiah McKenzie off the board 137. We really want to see Justin Fields get drafted. We really want to see Tua Tagovailoa get drafted. Okay, so Fields off. Dingus has 5 running backs here. They go Gallup. Oh my gosh, I'd have been so excited about a Gallup pick. I guess we're probably going to, just looking at this board, guys, we're probably going to end up with the tight end. Isaiah Pacheco off the board. Great for us. Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if we get an Isaiah, not an Isaiah Spiller selection, but a Michael Carter selection sometime soon. Swag's on the clock. They have at quarterback Lawrence. At tight end, they have Kyle Pitts. Yeah, so this is the team that took Lawrence 123. They go Sammy Watkins 142. That's just a blessing for us. We're locking into tight end here. I'm not necessarily looking at the guy at the very top of the board in Albert O. We are going to be going with the Pat Frymuth. Yeah, I think we go Frymuth and Jacoby Myers. When we take Pat Frymuth here, we are going to be able to only draft 2 tight ends, only draft 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, and 10 receivers. So obviously the wide receiver names at the very top are going to be gross, but in a best ball format, hopefully we can get away with it. Now we have Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Breece Hall, David Montgomery at running back. I think we are going to have top-end running back production every single week. We have Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford at quarterback. I think we'll have top-end quarterback production every single week. We have Dalton Schultz, Pat Frymuth. I think we'll have top-end tight end production every single week. It's just, can we get 10 wide receivers on this build to spike into our starting lineup randomly? I mean, right now we have Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, Russell Gage, Jacoby Myers. Honestly, it's not that bad of a wide receiver core. Like, it's not great by any means, but I think that we at least have path to some upside. Like, if Godwin were to go down, bam. Like, if Godwin has complications with that injury, which, trust me, guys, I'm not rooting for that. I have a crap ton of Godwin, but this team has that elite level ceiling. If Ryan Tannehill gets back to what he was 2 years ago, bam, this team has that elite level ceiling. I think there are a couple different ways that this can work in our favor. Okay, so we have KJ Osborne off the board, 148. Like, obviously, we're never going to get Osborne making it back to us, but it still kind of does suck seeing these teams go through and take wide receivers, just because every wide receiver that goes off the board makes it less and less likely that a wide receiver that we like at the 14-15 turns available there to us. So in reality, I would still prefer to see running backs. I mean, I want quarterbacks off the board. I want tight ends off the board, just anything but anything but receiver. Just get anything but wide receivers off the draft board at this point. This is exactly what we have here with Robert Tonyan, Albert O, and Irv Smith Jr. Albert O does fall a ton, but we talked about this previously in that I have no idea what they're expecting with him. If you look at the reports coming out of Denver saying that he may be the more inline blocking tight end, where Greg Dulcich may actually be the tight end drawing targets. And on top of it, they make him play the entire preseason game when all the starters sit. Like, it is something we need to continue to monitor there in Denver. I don't exactly know what to expect, though. Herbert goes off the board, 151. Good for us. Hayden Hurst off the board. Great for us. Good. Get these tight ends gone. Kenny Golladay off 153. Interesting that you have CSU Ram taking Golladay here. I definitely want to be able to throw that in your face if we take Golladay in another draft later on. Okay. Hunter Henry. Good. Let's get Isaiah Spiller. Let's get Tyler Algier. Let's get Mike Gesicki. Crazy to see Hayden Hurst go before Mike Gesicki. Wow. David Njoku off the board, 156. So I guess people really hate Gesicki at this point. Like, if Gesicki were to fall to us at 168, 169, do we just take a third tight end thinking that he can slide into our flex spot? Let's move this down. Okay, so counting out receivers, 6, 7, 6 receivers. 5, 6, 7. Maybe we get some wide receivers making it to us. Robbie Anderson off 160. Robbie Anderson back at practice. I think y'all should know the 2 wide receivers I want here. Obviously, we want wide receiver making it back to us. That's not a secret. But I think y'all should know the 2 guys we're looking at. Tyler Algier off the board, 161. That's going to be great for us. Hopefully we get a Winston pick as well. Yeah, we have 4 teams before us with only 1 quarterback. Wandale gone. Crap. That team had 6 receivers. Okay, still 4 teams before us with only 1 quarterback. Hopefully we get Jameis Winston, Matt Ryan off the board. Jarvis Lane. No. No. Do not do this to us. Matt Ryan off 164. Great. FSU for Cole. They only have 3 running backs. They only have 3 running backs. They go Isaiah Spiller. Great for us. Come on. Get us our guys. Our 2 guys are still here. They're still here. They weren't Wandale. They weren't Jarvis Landry. Swags 12. Come on. You know you want Jameis. You know you want Jameis. They go Evan Ingram. You want Jameis, my friend. They go Tyler Higbee. Hell yes. I love this team. We're chasing just upside to spike into our starting lineup on a week-to-week basis. Getting Van Jefferson, getting Jameson Williams here is going to be a no-brainer. So to recap this draft so far, keep in mind it's a best ball format. We don't have to figure out which one of these receivers are actually going to be productive. Running back, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Breece Hall, David Montgomery. I think we're very strong at running back. Wide receiver, we have Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, Russell Gage, Jacoby Myers, Jameson Williams, Van Jefferson. Quarterback, we have Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford. Tight end, we have Dalton Schultz and Pat Freiermuth. Very excited about this. Very, very excited. Henke coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, pick 2 of these running backs. Kareem Hunt, Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, A.J. Dillon, Cordell Patterson, and Tony Pollard. Probably go ahead and take A.J. Dillon and Tony Pollard as running backs that have roles in their respective offenses. And obviously the contingency upside if a starter were to go down in front of them to be true league winners. But real quick, guys, we are about 110 likes away from firing up another draft after this one. So if you want to see another draft, make sure you go down there, drop a like in the live stream. And also, if you're new here, subscribe. We live stream every single night. If we hit 90,000 subs, we are going to fire up a 24-hour live stream, which should be very exciting. Like I said, I think we need to average about 650 subscribers every day before the season starts if we're going to get there. Maybe a little less. Let me count out the days. Okay. Let's go through and look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so 14 days. We have 14 days to get 8.8 thousand subscribers. We need to average 620. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a chance we get there. Gonna need your help, though. Make sure you go down there and drop that like on every single one of our videos you watch. Okay, so Zay Jones off the board, 179. I understand Zay Jones is getting pumped up a lot in Jacksonville right now, but at the same time, I'm not dying to draft Zay Jones here. Like, if he would have fallen to us, sure, that's cool. It is what it is. But Paris Campbell off the board, 180. All these wide receivers, once you have, like, Corey Davis, Marvin Jones off the board, they're all the same to me. Like, I wouldn't hate too much to even grab a 5th running back if we wait this far. Because I do think we have upside at wide receiver. Like, if we get Treylon Burks and Jameson Williams to break out, if we just have those 2 breakouts, this team has a crap ton of upside. J.D. McKissic off 181. Mac Jones, 182. Jane says, I assume Mason will stream 24 hours consecutively. Yeah, man, that's the challenge. I don't know how it would go. I don't know if maybe I've stayed up like 24 hours when I was like 12 once. Maybe when I was like 12. I don't know if I've ever really stayed up 24 hours. I would just have to take so much caffeine, my brain would be fried. Okay, so Donovan Peoples-Jones off the board, 183. I'm honestly probably just going to reach on a wide receiver here so damn far that I'm not worried about him going at this point. CSU Ram only has 1 QB. They decided to go Baker Mayfield, get that paired up with Robbie Anderson. Very interesting team. Very, very interesting team. Okay, so this team right here in CS Schwa only has Justin Fields at quarterback, so I'd imagine we could see them end up going with the Tannehill, going with a Deshaun Watson. Austin Hooper, 186. What else could we do? Could we take... Was there any report about Raheem Mostert today? Because I did see Mostert. I don't even know how to say it. I did see him fall considerably in the other draft that we were in as well. Let me look him up on Twitter real quick. Yeah, I don't really see anything. Yeah, I don't see anything at all. If he were to fall to us, do we take him as a 5th running back here? I mean, we would still be coming away with 9 wide receivers. He could slide into our flex spot. We went running back the 1st, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 6th. I think we take him. Let me sit here and think on this just for 1 second. Yeah, let's take him as our 5th running back. And usually I'm not taking AJ Green here, but the wide receiver that I do want, I think could make it back around to us. And with AJ Green, he could cover up for no Jameson Williams, possibly no Van Jefferson at the beginning portion of the season as well. Possibly Treylon Burks not giving us anything. So I think we could actually get usable weeks to the wide receiver position from him. So let's go Mostert and AJ Green here at the turn. And we're still going to be looking for a wide receiver on the way back around. But if y'all want to see another draft under this one, we got 1 round left here. Make sure you go down there, drop a like. I think we are 59 likes away from firing up another draft. Text Ops coming out says, just had our work draft where I was able to get Lance and Kyler just in case Lance doesn't pan out. Keep up the great work, Vlog. No, thank you, my friend. And to be completely honest with you, I think I would potentially go through and look to even trade away Trey Lance. Like if you're just in a, I'm sorry, not Lance, Kyler Murray. If you're in a shallow casual format, like you could be looking at some serious value in return if you were to trade away a Kyler Murray. And I am very comfortable saying that Trey Lance is going to be a top 10 quarterback this year. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, I almost don't see how there's any other possibility, because if you're going to be looking at it as just rushing upside compared to other players at the position as well as the situation he's playing in, I would be interested in going through and taking Kyler Murray and try to package him with another running back through trade and getting an upgrade elsewhere. Thomas coming out says sucks about Colin Johnson. Yeah, definitely sucks about Colin Johnson. Jayan shot me a text about it. If y'all don't know, Colin Johnson, former University of Texas Longhorn, torn Achilles today. Never like to see it. Never like to see it. And literally last night in the live stream, I was talking about how we got lucky with injuries. Thank you. Okay. Y'all may have to see me eat a sandwich real quick, but I really wanted this sandwich. Okay. And let me go turn on this fan as well. Real quick. Actually, I may wait because we may actually be able to end the live stream here. I think we need 40 more likes to fire up another draft. David Bell goes. That sucks. David Bell is my guy. Okay, fan is on. Hopefully we stop sweating soon. And Greg Dolch just off the board here, 205. Let's swing this back around. Jamison Crowder, almost not even being drafted at this point. Like, is Crowder going to get cut? Has it come to this? Let's go through. Let's search this on Twitter. Who did this team just take? I didn't even know Demarcus Robinson was on Baltimore. Okay, so yeah, looking up Jamison Crowder. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. If Crowder makes it to us, guys, do we have to take Jamison Crowder? Is Jamison Crowder getting cut, or does he have a spot in the Buffalo Bills? Obviously, it looks like Isaiah McKenzie is the starting slot wide receiver, but is Jamison Crowder, does he have a spot on this team? To be completely honest, I'm probably going to take a wide receiver that doesn't have a spot on the team anyway. Thomas says Crowder. Okay, we just did hit 700 likes in the live stream, so we will fire up another chapter to this one. Okay, we have DJ saying taking... Okay, Crowder off the board, so y'all know who I usually like going with. Y'all know who I usually like drafting here. The best ball format. Last time we saw the man, you've heard me say this a million times by now. Last time we saw him, top 10 receiver on a points per game basis. This is a tournament draft. We're swinging for the fences. I'm not trying to get 6th place. I'm not trying to get 6th. Give me first or last. I want nothing in between. And yeah, we are going to go ahead. We are going to get Will Fuller. Let's fire him up, and then I'm going to set up a private draft for everyone. It's going to be a $3 draft, so if you are signed up for Underdog, you already know the drill. I'm going to send out a link in the live chat that says $3 draft here. Go ahead, click that link. You'll be in that draft, and it will only be with members of this live stream. Okay, we just sent that out. Swing this back around. And y'all are going to have to deal with me eating a sandwich, but if we do that 24-hour live stream, y'all are going to get to see me eat a lot. Lock it in. Lock it in. Who do y'all want here? Who do you want? Spam the chat. 101. Who are we seeing? Who do y'all want? Okay. We'll take Jonathan Taylor. We'll take JT. Let's stop messing around with this. Let's see what these teams after us do. We have a question coming out from Johnny. Thank you, my friend. Says, shallow 14-team half PPR offered Kelsey for my Kyle Pitts and Brandon Ayuk. I'm hesitant because my weakness is wide receiver. We have Elijah Moore, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Chase Claypool, Joshua Palmer, and Isaiah McKenzie. Take the deal. I love Kyle Pitts, but hell, getting Kelsey's a no-brainer here. Go get Travis Kelce. Dan coming out says, I'm at the 104. Let's do this. Excited to crush you, Dan. Let's see what you decide to do here. I'm assuming we get Cooper Kupp to start us off. Dalton says everyone in the chat said CMC. Dalton, you said CMC very aggressively about 1 million times. So yeah, we can look at the raw number of chat messages, and it did look like CMC. I think that came from primarily one person, my friend. Henry says, I've done 38 underdog drafts this year, and I've never gotten the 101. That's how I felt last season. And I was so upset. And the one time we got the 101, I got up, I did a dance, I went crazy. Crazy. Because I had the blessing of being able to go and take Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, you didn't want the 101 last year, even though we got so excited to get it. Now, I will say, at the same time, this season, I want the 101 as well. Give me the 101 in as many drafts you possibly can get. Flockavelli says, what kind of sandwich is it? It is a P. Terry's chicken sandwich. I know that. Most of y'all probably don't know what P. Terry's is. JN definitely does. Okay, so Kamara goes 17. Haven't seen Kamara go up. If y'all had to give the odds that Alvin Kamara gets suspended at any point this season, what would you put them at? Are y'all confident enough to say 0%? Is that where we're at this point? Ryan says, hey, Mason, is it true you've never won a fantasy league? Yeah, I've played in easily over 1,000 fantasy football leagues before. I've gotten close to winning once or twice, but I've never brought it down. Obviously, I'm joking, my friend, obviously. Okay, but 5%, 10%, 10, 20, 25, 20, 10, 20, 0, 30, 10, 20, 50. I would say it probably is hovering around 10 to 20%, which does make me want to still just take Aaron Jones over him. I still do want to take Aaron Jones. Okay, are we going to go ahead and get that Tampa Bay Buccaneers stack exactly like we did in the last draft? This time, no. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tyreek Hill and Nick Chubb. Especially in a half PPR format, I think we can go ahead. We can take Nick Chubb over Leonard Fournette. Don't stress about it too much. As I said in the last draft, we did go Leonard Fournette over Chubb there, but that's also because we had Mike Evans. I thought that the correlation made sense. But I am somewhat concerned about overall regression in Tampa this upcoming season if we're looking at the offensive line turnover that they had. Have I told y'all the story of like the first time I won a fantasy football league? It was a magical time. I'll never forget it. If y'all want to hear it, buckle up. The year is, I believe, 2013. You have someone named Chip Kelly going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, college coach that does not believe in anything NFL, that just wants to run as many plays per game as possible. And keep in mind, it's 2013. I'm in middle school. Don't know. Actually, no. Maybe I was a freshman in high school. I don't know. Either freshman in high school or 8th grade. But I went all in on the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Went with LaShawn McCoy. Went Deshaun Jackson. Jeremy Maclin. Nick Foles. Wrote it out. Now, Dylan coming out, thank you, my friend, says, 12-team Superflex tight end premium. My team is a rebuilding team with a lot of young players. Got offered Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Pat Frymuth for Josh Allen. Do I take that? Sent this in locals with my team screenshot. Of course, Dylan, thank you so much for being a long-time member of the flock. If y'all didn't know, I'd say that Dylan is probably better at fantasy football than I am, so I don't know why he's out here asking me. Let's see if I can go through if I can find his team. Okay, so this is going to be a league where you start a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys. Okay, so depth is going to be important here. And let me just reread this question. Watson, Pickett, Frymuth for Allen. You know I'm a fan of trading for Deshaun Watson to Dynasty. I think starting next offseason, Deshaun Watson is right there in that same tier as like a Kyler Murray, a Joe Burrow in terms of Dynasty value. If you're a fan of Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, then sure, I think you can go ahead. I think you can make the deal. In reality, I'd imagine that you can get a lot more. I'd imagine you can get it a lot more, my friend. I would go through, at least ask for a second. Okay, Dan coming out says, almost went with the Pitts Andrews tight end monopoly build, but remembered it's a private draft, LOL. Yeah, it would have been exciting to see you go with the Andrews and Kyle Pitts. If we would have saw you go Andrews and Pitts, probably would have ended up going myself with the combo of like Kittle and Waller. It really tried to skew up the board. Okay, so Ezekiel Elliott off a 41. Team does have 3 running backs so far through the first 4 rounds. Let's see if we get Breece Hall making it to us. Now, I will say, Breece Hall would be less appealing in this format in particular, where it is a private draft. It's who can score the most points weeks 1 through 17, given the fact that we do expect that production for Breece Hall to be backloaded this upcoming season, where that is great for a format that has the fantasy football playoffs, especially if that's going to be the fantasy football playoff tournament weeks 15, 16, 17. We really need to be optimizing for. Jack says, did you hear Michael Carter is running back 1? My friend, I'm not overreacting. We're looking at the profile of Breece Hall. We've always said Michael Carter is going to have that receiving down role. Michael Carter is going to have a role at the beginning of the season. I do think that Breece Hall eventually takes over as that bell cow guy. This is why we have drafted a lot of Michael Carter, because then he will turn into a primary handcuff player with a lot of upside in that fashion. But here, let's go Deontay Johnson, and then let's also go Patrick Mahomes. I mean, 2 players that I've been drafting over and over and over again when we've gotten the chance. I am still going to be drafting Deontay Johnson as he falls. I know a lot of people are all in on George Pickens, and George Pickens does have a crap ton of upside, and George Pickens is very exciting. But if that's going to open up a buy low opportunity for us on Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be a no-brainer. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, it is not too late. We do these drafts every single night, and these are best ball drafts, so that means no time commitment at all during the season to you. You can get in as many of these as you want. And if you go and sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK through the link in the description, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And of course, you will support this channel. So please make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, but Jalen Hurts off the board here, 51. Cam Akers, 52. Really like what Dan's doing here. I mean, getting Lamar Jackson stacked up with Mark Andrews, getting Higgins at a massive value there as well at pick 28. I think Dan does have a much better start than we do. I mean, at running back, he's rocking with Akers. At receiver, he has Kupp and Higgins. He has Andrews and Lamar at tight end and quarterback. At running back, we have Taylor, Chubb, wide receiver, Tyreek, Deontay, and then Patrick Mahomes at QB. But yeah, great start, Dan. Great start. Nick says, Mason, have you won any big money in best ball? Okay, so y'all know those $250 drafts that we do? Last year I got really close, and I know everybody's already heard this story before, but I'm sorry you have to hear it one more time because it pains me and it sits on my mind way too much. But we had a very good team get to that tournament. We had a couple teams get to the playoff tournament in that $250 draft. And back then, the finals for that $250 draft was only a 12-team final, $100,000 to first, and we were in the semifinals, and we were down by about 5-6 points, maybe even it was 4 points. And we had Travis Kelce playing on either Monday or Tuesday night. It was a very weird game. I think it was maybe a rescheduled game. It was like Monday night, right? It was the last game of the week. And Travis Kelce tested positive for COVID. They did not put him on the COVID list because they were going to retest him before the game started. My only tight ends on the roster were Travis Kelce and Irv Smith Jr. We drafted the team before Irv Smith Jr. went down due to injury. And we were 6 points away from advancing. So if Kelce cleared the COVID test, we would have advanced to that tournament draft where like second place is $50,000, first place is $100,000, and there was only 12 teams in it. Kelce does not clear COVID protocol. We lose. We had Jamar Chase on the team. The very next week, Jamar Chase drops 50 points. Drops 50 points. Where we would have won, we would have come away with $100,000 off a $250 buy-in, and you would have never heard the end of it. I would have introduced myself at the beginning of every single video as the person who won a $100,000 fantasy football. I would have been obnoxious about it, not going to lie. I still plan on being obnoxious if we do end up winning big in one of these best ball tournaments. Like, trust me. But Derek goes, he decides to take Josh Allen and Lance on the same team. We've seen him do this before. Nothing new here. Nothing new. Adam Thielen goes off the board at pick 67. Slide this back over. What do we have with Elijah Moore currently? Likely playing this week. Okay, I don't really care about that. Yeah, so Elijah Mitchell off the board at 68. I think that we are probably just going to end up hammering in receiver here if we get the opportunity. If not, y'all know that. Let's read this. Dear God, what are we saying? Jacobs remains on track to open the season as the Raiders starting running back, but could cede some goal line carries to Zamir White and some passing down snaps to Amir Abdullah. Where he's surrounding Jacobs' role. Is this coming from anything? So no. Coaching staff did not say this. Not coming from anywhere. Just pure speculation. Pure speculation. I'm not going to lie to you. We probably take Josh Jacobs if he falls. So last draft, we ended up getting David Montgomery at pick 72. This time, let's go Jacobs. And honestly, Amari Cooper. I know we're passing on Allen Lazard. I know everybody's going to hate us for passing on Allen Lazard. I've already said this. I've already come to terms with this. If Allen Lazard is who you need to win fantasy football drafts this year, if Allen Lazard is that true league winning player, I'm fine losing money. Like, if Allen Lazard's the guy you need, hell, sucks to be me. I guess I'm losing. I don't know if I can go out there and just pay this price on Allen Lazard, taking him over Amari Cooper. Okay, so let's move this down. DeAndre Hopkins off the board, 75. And I know that y'all are tired of hearing me speak on this with Allen Lazard. And on paper, like I said, he is the wide receiver one in Green Bay. But if we take a step back, if we look at Allen Lazard throughout his entire NFL career, he's never been impressive from a yards per route run standpoint. He's never been impressive from a target share standpoint. I know he's played with Davante Adams. But what if I were to tell you that Allen Lazard has been on a team without Davante Adams before? What if I were to tell you that Allen Lazard, back in 2018, was on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Undrafted free agent. Bounced team to team, no pedigree whatsoever. And the best season we've ever had from him last year, we had a whopping, let me get my little calculator out here. Don't want to pull up my draft guide. 513 divided by 15. 34 receiving yards per game. Last year, 34 receiving yards per game. I know he played with Davante Adams. Trust me, I get it. 100%. It's hard to hold that against him. But at the same time, guys, it's an undrafted free agent. He hasn't really proven anything. We don't know if he can get to 22% of this team's target share. Okay. Carl says, do you take any Packers receivers? 100%, my friend. I take Aaron Jones. One of, in my opinion, the top Packers receivers. All jokes aside, I take a lot of Christian Watson. I think with Christian Watson, he actually has in his range of outcomes to be the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay, very similar to Allen Lazard. I think with Christian Watson, he has more team investment. I think he had a much better prospect profile. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out here and he crushes. Now, I am a little bit biased with that, I will admit, because I have drafted significantly more Christian Watson than I have Allen Lazard. Okay, but we have some more wide receivers going off the board here, so I do feel good about our decision to take Amari Cooper at 72. In reality, when we take Amari Cooper here, like, we had no other option to do anything else. Like, am I going to take Hopkins? You can't take Hopkins here because, as we've already said, this is going to be that private draft where in a private draft, you need to be optimizing for weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, just as much as you're optimizing for weeks 15, 16, 17. So it's damn near impossible to take someone that's guaranteed to miss the first 6 weeks of the season. If you were to fall to us pick like 96, then sure, we can take him. But no, we 100% can't take DeAndre Hopkins at the turn here. Beyond that, what could we have done? Burrow? I don't really like Burrow if we didn't take Higgins or Chase. Okay, TJ Hawkinson off at 85, as well as Dak Prescott. I would really like to have one of these quarterbacks make it back to us at the very end of the 8th round. Obviously, when we take Patrick Mahomes, what we are going to be hoping for is we're going to be hoping that we get a Marcus Valdes-Scantling as well as a Sky Moore. I don't know if Derek ends up letting us get Marcus Valdes-Scantling, though. Derek may end up just taking him at 90. And let me ask you all this in the live chat real quick. I asked this the other night, but I just want to get more opinions. So y'all know during the season, I go through and I live stream for like 3-4 hours every single night, just live Q&As, answering as many questions as I possibly can. Like, we're going to be live streaming for like the next 200 days straight. Would y'all rather it just be my face like this, answering your questions, staring straight into the camera? Or would you rather me be playing like NCAA 14 or something, streaming that, not even talking about the game at all, just have it on in the background, and just be answering your questions in a box like I am now, but instead of an underdog draft in the background, it's NCAA 14 or something? What would you rather have? Would you rather have just my beautiful face full screen, or Madden, NCAA 14, something like that in the background? I'm a very bad video game player. I probably haven't played a video game more than once a month, literally since like 2015. But I think it could possibly be more appealing. Okay, so Ashton says gameplay. Okay, a lot of people say gameplay. J. Mark says just your face. Derek says face. Drew says full screen. Okay. Swiss says too bad you don't have NFL film rights. Yeah, if y'all want to call up the NFL, like, here's what we could do instead. Why don't y'all go find Roger Goodell's address? Write him, just start writing him letters, right? Say, hey, Roger, Mason Dodd from Flock Fantasy live streams every single night. It would be very nice of you if you let him use week 7 highlights playing on in the background as he screams. Like, if y'all want to go through, write that letter out to him and mail it to his house, trust me, I would appreciate it. I don't know if he's going to go for it, but it would be really nice. So let's move this over. We have Ramondre Stevenson off the board, 93. Hayden says NCAA revamped, Texas in the SEC. I'm not good with video games, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm just going to be able to hook up my old 360, throw in the NCAA 14 disc that I have, and do that. I have no idea how to download a revamped game or anything along those lines. Okay, so let's go. I mean, we got Matthew Stafford in the last draft, but we didn't have to take him at 96 or 97. We ended up getting him at 120. Carson says, are you not allowed to stream highlights? No, guys. There's a reason you never see, like, highlights from an established channel on YouTube of the NFL. Like, you can get away with doing it for... One second. Let me think through this. F it. I guess we go Damien Pierce. I'm not excited about this at all. Let's do it. It is what it is. But yeah, you can do like highlights for the NBA. Like we've been able to put those on our NBA fantasy channel. If y'all don't know, we have some pretty smart guys doing NBA fantasy for us now. Those can go on, but NFL has things on lock. Like if you put an NFL clip for 15 seconds in the corner of a video, that video is getting demonetized, and it's not that, oh, I lose ad money on the video. That's not it. It's just that if a video gets demonetized, they no longer push it in the algorithm. Like, it'll never be recommended on your homepage. Armanda coming out. Armada says, draft for my hometown league is in 2 hours. Last year, I got second place after starting Antonio Brown in the championship when he ran off the field. Oh, dear God. Well, good luck in your hometown draft, I'll say. Hopefully you don't have a wide receiver running off the field for you in the championship game this year. I didn't even know that happened in the championship week. I didn't remember that happening in the championship week. Really interesting. Really interesting. Okay, so Matthew Stafford off the board 101. Treylon Burks 102. At this point, we probably want to just see running backs go. Like, let me know if y'all think we should have taken Treylon Burks there, pick 97. We took Treylon Burks at 97 there in our last draft. The issue is this is that private draft where we don't necessarily have weeks 15, 16, 17. So if we don't have weeks 15, 16, 17 as a priority for the fantasy football playoff stretch, I'm not as incentivized to take someone like Treylon Burks, who we don't expect to have that massive role at the beginning portion of the season, but can have that upside later on. So let's go ahead. Let's take the two running backs and really hope that we get wide receivers making them back around to us. Okay. Now we have Melvin Gordon, Antonio Gibson off the board. And let me see. Honestly, guys, I think we have enough money in our underdog account to fire up some more $250 drafts this offseason. And if we were looking at that $250 draft contest, it's 75% filled. So we probably need to fire up some more. Oh, dear God. We just entered in the $250 league and it filled immediately. I just wanted to see how many spots it had. We are in here with some sharks. Okay, let's swing this back around. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like in the live stream. Second $250 draft today. I just wanted to see how many spots it had left. We entered and it was immediately filled. Immediately filled. Like we were the last guy in it. And you have a decent amount of regulars out here. CSU Ram drafted next to us at 11. Best Ball Viper, a name that I definitely recognize from the public lobby. I don't think these people are, obviously, I don't think they're members of the flock by any means, but just recognize them from the high stakes lobby on Underdog. I think that we probably need to prioritize grabbing a wide receiver at this point. Let's grab a wide receiver earlier on. Easy Eddie out here. Happy to see you, my friend. Seems like we haven't had you out in the live chat in quite some time. Maybe I just haven't seen the name in a while, but happy to see you out here, my friend. We have Jonathan Taylor off the board at 101. Come on. Want to see my TDs. That's a pretty good name. Want to see my TDs. Decides to go Jamar Chase at 2. Jamar Chase over Cup. Jamar Chase over Jefferson. Jamar Chase over CMC. How far is Christian McCaffrey falling in this draft? How far is CMC falling in this draft? I feel like we haven't tracked our exposures in a while. Let me also just make sure I can pull this up real quick and see if we are becoming super overweight on individual players we need to begin avoiding. So let's filter this out by entry fees. Okay, y'all want to take a guess on who my number one most invested into players at this point? You're not going to get it. Okay, crap. I'm honestly surprised to see it. Stephon Diggs at 7, Austin Eckler at 6. In that other draft, we go Garrett Wilson, Russell Gage on the turn. Devontae Adams off the board. Devontae Adams was going to be our pick if he would have fallen to us at 10. Now, obviously, I think we just grab one of Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. Yeah, our plan was Devontae Adams if he was going to make it to us at 10 based on how these high-stakes drafters push up these wide receivers. Because like in that last high-stakes draft, we ended up having... Yeah, we're getting Derrick Henry here. Najee Harris off the board. Derrick Henry, auto pick at 10. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's Derrick Henry at pick 10. Okay, so a lot of people have the team right. A lot of people have the team right that it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me double check on this, but I believe my most drafted player up until this point is actually a Mr. McCole Hardman. Not my most drafted player percentage-wise. Let's go ahead. Let's take Barkley. I think that very few teams are going to be able to get the combo of Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley at the 1-2 turn here now that Saquon Barkley does sneak his way into the late first round a lot. So let's go ahead. Let's take Barkley just to try to get a unique build through the first 2 rounds. So if we're looking at my entry fees, I've only drafted McCole Hardman in 13% of drafts, but I guess it just naturally falls that I draft him in all the high stakes leagues. So we have McCole Hardman, Patrick Mahomes, Christian Watson as our 3 most drafted players. 3 highest investment players. Okay. Now let's see if we have any other notable names going after our Barkley pick. We have the other team right next to us deciding to go Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift. And here's what we are doing. We had someone in the live chat telling me this. I mean, in the comment section telling me this today on one of the YouTube videos. And I completely agreed with him. They were essentially saying, Mason, why the hell are you drafting James Conner and Travis Etienne at the 3-4 turn, looking at the running backs that these drafters are allowing you to get later on? Like, you complain about having to pass up on running back value later on, yet you take James Conner in the 3rd, you take Travis Etienne in the 4th round. We are going with 2 wide receivers after this. Unless Kyle Pitts falls, we are going with 2 wide receivers. Lock it in. Okay. Lock it in. Flair says, why does everyone draft quarterbacks in round 1 of best ball? I don't see anybody drafting quarterbacks in round 1 of best ball. And of course, if you want to get in some best ball drafts, these are drafts that have no time commitment at all during the season. Your best starting lineups automatically submitted for you at the end of every single week. You draft 18 rounds so you don't have waivers. So I'm able to draft freaking 600 teams at this point of the offseason. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Go have some fun in these drafts. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You will get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. With legitimately a $10 deposit, you are going to get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide because I worked my butt off to get y'all that deal. Make sure you're taking advantage of it. You can find the link in the description of the video. You can find the link in the live chat. Okay. So now we have Tyreek Hill, Nick Chubb off the board here at the 2-3 turn. Michael Pittman. Breece Hall goes at 26. Guys, Breece Hall's been a running back that's been falling. I mean, in the last $250 draft, we got him at pick 48. To see him here at 26, that is... Oh my gosh. That's possibly going to push the value down to us. Really excited about the possibility of getting someone that we like on the way back around at pick 34 now. Like we said, we are planning on going receiver unless we get like a Kyle Pitts making it to us. And you know what? When we're picking this late in the 3rd round, I don't think we have a chance at Mahomes, Herbert, or Lamar Jackson in the 5th anymore. So if we were to get Josh Allen at pick 34, maybe we go ahead. We take Josh Allen at 34. Definitely a unique build when we have Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown off the board. These are the 4 guys we're looking at. Whoever falls out of these players is who we take. And then we really hope we get Jalen Waddle in the 4th, but usually I think CSU Ram takes Jalen Waddle. Are we going to get Josh Allen here? Are we getting Allen? Sutton goes. So we're going to go Josh Allen. Scary, 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 scary stuff. Scary stuff here. I think it's a unique build. I think it has a crap ton of upside. I think there's no shot that we end up with a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson at pick 58. So let's go ahead. Let's take him here. CSU Ram goes DJ Moore 35. James Conner goes 36th. And Ezekiel Elliott. Thank God we don't even have the temptation. We don't have the temptation. We can't go Jalen Waddle. Calm down, Mason. You told yourself you weren't doing it. You told yourself you weren't doing it. Stick to the plan. A wide receiver. Wide receiver. Trust me, I get it. Any smart person on the planet, anybody with more than 3 brain cells tells you to go Gabriel Davis here. We already bet on Josh Allen. We're already betting that the Buffalo Bills have an elite level offense. And we are contradicting that bet here when we decide to go with Allen Robinson over Gabriel Davis. It's just very difficult for me. I understand anybody with half a brain cell goes to Gabriel Davis. I've taken a hard stance. I want to have that consistent bet. And I'll know if we had a good week. I'll know if we win money this year based on the Gabriel Davis outcome. And I think Gabriel Davis pick 39 is not a way to go about it. We can still get James Cook later on. We can reach on Dawson Knox later on. We can get Isaiah McKenzie later on. There's still a lot of different ways to attack this Buffalo Bills offense. And obviously you are betting somewhat that you have the rushing touchdown equity here with Josh Allen at pick 34. Okay. Teresa says, damn dude, you just hate Davis. I don't like Gabriel Davis at this point. Like, if we go through, like, if you look at casual ADP, like, let's look at ESPN Fantasy ADP. Let me look at this. Where does Gabriel Davis go in these drafts? Not inside the top 50 picks. Like on ESPN, Gabriel Davis has an ADP of pick 62. He's going right after Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like at that point, like I understand the upside bet, and 100% I would be willing to come out here and I'd be willing to make videos calling Gabriel Davis one of the best values in fantasy if you were getting him at the beginning of the 6th round. But to take him at the 3-4 turn, the upside's so priced in that I feel like even if he hits it, how much are you profiting? How much are you profiting? Okay. So Hollywood Brown makes it all the way to pick 48. Really like that team that you have from that one spot. Going Taylor, Chubb, Tyreek, and Hollywood. I really like that team from 1. And real quick, guys, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Live streaming 3-4 drafts. I mean, at this point, 4 or 5 drafts every single night for y'all. Trying to get y'all in as many of these drafts with us as possible. Trying to get y'all prepared for fantasy so you can also make suboptimal choices and decide to pass on Gabriel Davis in favor of Allen Robinson, even when you have Josh Allen. Go down there, drop that like. If we hit 1,100 likes on the stream, we will be firing up another drafter to this one. Okay. Now, Lamar Jackson, Brandon Cooks. Very happy to see Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes go off the board. Just because I would have felt very bad about myself if we took Josh Allen over DJ Moore just to watch Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson fall to us in the 5th. But, is this happening right now? Is this happening? Pepper Prince on the clock. They have Eckler, Kamara, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin. They go George Kittle here, pick 54. J.K. Dobbins, 55. Dobbins would have been a player we would have been really excited about. Darren Waller goes. Never mind. We don't get anybody that we're that pumped about. Y'all know I have drafted a decent amount of Michael Thomas. I feel like Michael Thomas is going to be falling a lot. Let's read this. Thomas hamstring remained sidelined at Wednesday's practice. Thomas appears to be trending towards missing the Saints preseason finale against the Chargers on Friday. If the starting wideout indeed sits out the contest, his chance to see game action will arrive week 1 against the Falcons. We need to take wide receiver at this pick. I think out of these guys, if we're looking for upside cases in a tournament-style draft, Michael Thomas is going to be the pick. Let's take Michael Thomas, pick 58, and still probably look to grab a receiver on the way back around if we can. Okay, Best Ball Viper on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. Kyler Murray off the board, 60. Guys, I understand a lot of people want Amon-Ra St. Brown, and if we look at a median projection, Amon-Ra St. Brown probably does come out higher than Michael Thomas. But if we're looking at ceilings for weeks 15, 16, 17, which I think we need to be optimizing for in this Best Ball Playoff Tournament contest, where 4 teams make it to the tournament out of this 12-team league, I think that if we are looking at the true ceiling that you may have with a player like Amon-Ra St. Brown during that time period, it's not going to be comparable to Michael Thomas, especially if we assume that Jameson Williams comes in and Jameson Williams is healthy for the second half of the year, and he's a relatively good round 1 rookie receiver. So let's take Michael Thomas and Darnell Mooney here on the turn. I have drafted a lot of Kyler Murray. I've drafted a lot of Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the 6th round over Darnell Mooney. It's just very difficult for us to pull the trigger on that whenever we already have Josh Allen and we are going to be desperate for some help specifically at wide receiver. I mean, we can look at Justin Fields later on. We saw him fall a ridiculous amount in the live stream the other night. So let's go MT and Darnell. Brandon says Mooney's upside plus his ADP value is gold. Obviously, I like Darnell Mooney here at pick 63, or I wouldn't take Darnell Mooney here at pick 63. I don't know if I can describe it as gold, though. And I don't necessarily think upside's the right thing to describe when it comes to Darnell Mooney. I think it's almost the exact opposite. I think that Darnell Mooney is a player that has a very high floor and a very low ceiling. I think he's very comparable to someone like Brandon Cooks as the perfect example. Because with Brandon Cooks, I mean, you're looking at a player that should have a ridiculous target share with no outside competition in that offense. But at the same time, we're not necessarily confident that you are going to get respectable production or efficiency out of Houston whatsoever. So that maybe is going to end up capping Brandon Cooks' overall upside and what you could find for the Houston Texans. I think you may see a very similar thing here in the case of Darnell Mooney, where his target share is locked in to be like a 25%. But given how handicapped he should be from the Chicago Bears offense, it's hard to say that he has like an elite level ceiling here. Okay, so we have Elijah Moore making it all the way to pick 72. So it looks like we have these Jets players falling across the board. Outside of the team that decides to go Breece Hall at pick 26, of course. They decided to turn it around with Elijah Mitchell, Joe Burrow here. Hopkins off the board, 75. Hopkins would have been someone that we were looking for, but honestly, not realistic for us to get him, especially if like there's the... Actually, no, Kyler Murray wouldn't pick 60. Maybe there would have been an outside chance that we got him. Christian Kirk off the board, 76. Swing this back around. Dalton Schultz has been falling, which I think is right. I don't think Dalton Schultz should have been going where he was previously. Jacobs goes 77. Amari Cooper, 78. Give us Thornton. Please give us Smith. Please give us Smith. Please give us Smith. Best Ball Viper already has 4 running backs with Joe Mixon, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott, and A.J. Dillon. I don't know if they can go ahead and take another running back. Goddard off the board at 80. Give us Smith. Please, 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 please. This team has Russell Wilson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and DK Metcalf. So yeah, they went through and they just decided to go through and hell yes, we get Devonta Smith here. Easiest pick I'm ever going to make. Yes, it's going to be a low volume passing attack. Yes, we should be somewhat concerned with A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert being serious target competition. But from a talent perspective, Devonta Smith is just a no-brainer pick here. Okay, Dak Prescott off the board, 84. Kadarius Toney, 85. If we were to take a non-Chase Edmonds, I think we would indeed just go to the tight end position with T.J. Hawkinson. But if we're looking at how tight ends have fallen in this draft room across the board, let's go ahead. Let's take Chase Edmonds here. I mean, I think you have the guaranteed passing down role in Miami. We're not in a spot where we are just desperate for a receiver, begging to have running backs fall back to us. I think that we can go ahead. We can take Chase Edmonds at pick 87. So what we really need to hope for at this point is we really need to see if we get James Cook 106. We really want James Cook 106. But I think this is a well-balanced roster across the board. I mean, we have Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Chase Edmonds at running back. We have the elite level QB with Josh Allen. At wide receiver, we have Allen Robinson, Michael Thomas, Darnell Mooney, and Devonta Smith. Very interesting to see the Jalen Hurts team decide to pass on Smith in favor of Amari. Eddie says, is there a reason you picked up Allen Robinson over Deontay Johnson in the 4th round? Yeah, I mean, if you check out my rankings, I'm 100% going to have Deontay Johnson ranked before Allen Robinson. But if we were looking at this league in particular, there are a couple different factors. This is half PPR format, which I do think slightly favors the player that possibly has more touchdown upside, which will be Allen Robinson. But I would still rank Deontay over Allen Robinson even in this format. But also, if we're just looking at the overall distribution of how I've been drafting Deontay versus how I've been drafting Allen Robinson, like, let me go through and let me pull this up just so I can give you an idea of how few of leagues I've actually drafted Allen Robinson in. I've drafted Allen Robinson in 3% of leagues. And I've drafted Deontay in 15%. Like, it's because you can easily get Deontay Johnson at the 4 or 5 turn in a lot of these drafts, and Allen Robinson's never going to fall there. So if we need a wide receiver, if we're in this range of the board, let's diversify a little bit. Let's go ahead. Let's take Allen Robinson. Like, trust me, guys. Y'all know I'm drafting Deontay Johnson a crap ton. I just can't do it in every single league. It is very risky to just do it in every single league, regardless of the situation. Okay. We have James Cook, 97. Devin Singletary off the board as well. That definitely sucks to have those guys going significantly before their ADP. James Cook ADP like 102, 103. So I mean, he still would have had to fall a little bit to get to us, but still. I guess this is a team where we have to friggin' draft Dawson Knox, and y'all know I do not like that. Dear God, I do not like that. Oh, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, if we end up getting if we get a different value that we like making it to us, we will go ahead. We will take it. We're not just going to auto-pick Dawson Knox here. But I think it looks likely that the pick is Dawson Knox. I think it's likely that that's going to be our selection. Sold by Shook coming out. Of course, thank you. As always, my friend says, how do you draft at the 107 in a 12-team Yahoo League? 12-team Yahoo League, I'm going to be operating under the assumption that it's an extremely shallow format. And in an extremely shallow format, let's go ahead. Let's go running back round 1, your favorite tier 2 guy, followed up with Travis Kelce in round 2. If he falls, If not, go with another running back you feel comfortable about, and then look for Mark Andrews or Kyle Pitts in round 3. Dawson Knox off the board, so we don't even get our guy Dawson Knox here. We're instead going to go Tyler Boyd. At this point, dear God, let's hop in a time machine. Let's go and let's take Gabriel Davis. Never thought I'd say that, but still. Tyler Boyd, 106. Carly says, what is Quinn Conway's value after the recent suspension? I don't know. I feel like similar to Watson, you have to hold for the long-term upside that you have, but it is pretty tough missing out some time on an obvious stud like that. Now, do we go Pickens? Do we just go ahead and take George Pickens? Let's think. We'll take George Pickens. We'll figure it out. Let's go with the upside case in George Pickens. We are still going to have to target Isaiah McKenzie later on to pair up with Josh Allen, of course. God, this is tough. This is tough, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know, would you all have gone George Pickens there, or would you have gone elsewhere? I mean, what I am looking at with George Pickens right now that I do think is very telling is the fact that right now sportsbooks have the offensive rookie of the year. Some of them have George Pickens being favored. Some of them are favoring George Pickens at this point. Steven says, why wait on Isaiah McKenzie? Because we're trying to build super teams here, my friend. We're trying to build super teams. Yes, we're rolling the dice, but it's a $250 buy-in. We're trying to turn into $100,000. Like, sometimes you do have to go out there, and sometimes you do have to roll the dice. Okay. Now we have Zach Ertz off the board, finally, 114. I mean, y'all know Zach Ertz isn't necessarily someone that I am ever that excited to go out there and draft. Pepper Prince on the clock. We have a ton of receivers. I don't exactly know what we want to be rooting for. Darrell Henderson, Damien Harris. Okay, we have a small run on running backs happening. I mean, it is true that the majority of these values at this point are going to be running back. I mean, wide receivers, I guess you could see go at the 10-11 turn here, are going to include the Tampa guys like a Julio Jones, like a Russell Gage. But let's see. Let's see what happens. Yeah, Cole Kmet, 117. We don't have a single tight end yet. We don't have a single tight end, but usually around 12, I think, is where you can find some strong tight end values. You have Kenneth Walker off the board. Mr. Steph says, in a couple of years, I can see Pickens and Deontay as the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins do. Okay. Like I said, I mean, I clearly see the upside with a George Pickens. There's a reason we decided to go ahead and we decided to take him at pick 111. But to come out here and say that we see Jamar Chase level upside, that is a little aggressive. I don't necessarily think that's going to ever happen. But, I mean, hell, I do have a bunch of Deontay Johnson and a decent amount of George Pickens. I'm not going to lie, I haven't drafted nearly as much as George Pickens over the past month as we were previously, though. I used to be able to get George Pickens back-to-back with freaking Alec Pierce. People wonder why you draft early, why you try to build super teams early. It's because of that. It's because of that reason, my friends. Okay, Brian Robinson off the board. Brian Robinson's also a player we used to get very, very often. Extremely late. How about Rashad White's off? Like I said, we could be looking at a Justin Fields here. I actually would like pairing up Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney together. In that with Fields, I think he has rushing upside. I think we can see his own spike weeks. I think that he does have a decent amount of upside. But Best Ball Viper already has Kyler and Dak. I don't think they can take another quarterback. I've seen CSU Ram pass on Justin Fields for long durations during these drafts. So maybe we decide to pass on Fields with the expectation he makes it back to us in the 12th. Devontae Parker off the board. What's the report that we have with Gallup? Oh, dear God. Gallup's an auto pick at this point. Gallup's not starting on the PPP. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones indicated Gallup won't start the season on the PPP list. Gallup had previously said he won't be ready by... That team decides to go through and grab 3 quarterbacks at this point. What? We have Josh Allen. Why do I say it sucks? No, it doesn't suck at all for us. What the hell am I talking about? Do we take Isaiah McKenzie, get the stack in with Josh Allen? Let's take Isaiah McKenzie. Obviously, we're clearly reaching on the guy, but we need someone in this Buffalo Bills offense to pair up with Josh Allen. I 100% prefer McCole Hardman, but this is also going to be our last wide receiver with this team. So our last wide receiver with this team, this will be a roster where we have to take 3 tight ends. Probably only going to be drafting a total of 5 running backs and 2 quarterbacks. When we take Allen in the 3rd, I mean, we only have to draft 2 QBs. But let's scroll this down real quick. Tua Tagovailoa off. Very interested to know why that team decided to go ahead and take Justin Fields as a 3rd quarterback there. Very interested to know why they decided to do that. And of course, if you have not done so already, I don't know why you haven't. Drop a like on the live stream. Nobody else is streaming out here. 3, 4, 5, 6 drafts at this point tonight. Make sure you go down there. Drop that like. It helps us out so much. Okay. Let's move this down. So we have some more running backs off the board directly after we take Isaiah McKenzie. Not good for us. Not good for us at all. Love that value that a team gets with McCole Hardman there. Great pick with McCole Hardman. Did that team also take Mahomes earlier on? No, that team went Lamar instead of Mahomes. Still, regardless, McCole Hardman, Pat Freiermuth, fantastic picks at that point. I mean, those would have been the 2 guys we would have taken if we did not take Isaiah McKenzie. Steven says, don't sleep on Tyler Conklin. I don't know. I think I'm going to sleep just fine knowing that we're not really drafting Tyler Conklin. I'm not going to have any issues with that at all, my friend. Okay, so Nico Collins, Isaiah Spiller off the board here at the beginning of the 13th. Christian Watson, Jacoby Myers. Let's get a tight end. Like, the wide receivers are the best values here. Like, dear God, what? Mason, what have you done? What have you done? KJ Osborne off the board. Good. Hopefully we see Hamler off. Don't make me feel bad about deciding to take all these mid-round crap receivers. KJ Hamler, good. Okay, I feel much better now that we have KJ Hamler off the board about our decision to go with wide receivers over the past few rounds. Obviously, we're looking to grab some tight ends here. I think Mike Gesicki is going to be an easy call. Robbie Anderson off the board. Hopefully, we get this team taking Kenny Golladay. Golladay or like Jarvis. Let's see what they decide to do. They go Matt Ryan. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Mike Gesicki as our tight end 1 here. I understand that a lot of people are looking at Mike Gesicki with the new coach saying, oh my gosh, he's going to be blocking. It's going to be a gross spot for Mike Gesicki. It is what it is. I'm going to be completely fine here. Carlos says, Flock, would you consider us friends? Conway's musty. I think we're friends, my friend. I don't know about Conway, though. Don't know about Conway. Now, CSU Ram on the clock. Sammy says, good news on Logan Thomas, and looks like he's going to be on this $250 team. Good news for Logan Thomas. Looks like he's joining the flock here with us. CSU Ram goes Galladay in another draft. Wan'Dale Robinson off the board here. Jameson Williams off the board. Love the Jameson Williams pick as well. I mean, we can't take him. Obviously, it's good for us when we already have 8 receivers. I think at this point, we probably just lock in Jameis Winston. I mean, we took Michael Thomas a little earlier on. Yeah, so let's go Jameis here. Let's get our second quarterback. I do think that Jameis Winston has access to spike weeks. Hell, last time we saw him play an entire season in 2019, this is someone that led the NFL in passing yards. He was second in the NFL in passing touchdowns. Now, of course, I don't think that's going to be the case going forward. Like, I can't sit here and say Jameis Winston's going to see that exact same type of volume when I think that he is going to be on a leash here in New Orleans, but still. I mean, have y'all seen the highlights of, like, Jameis Winston funny moments? Please tell me y'all have seen that. If y'all have seen, like, the Jameis Winston funny moments highlights, he's someone I want to be rooting for. Like, there's nothing better than watching those videos, and I don't know why. There's something deep down that makes you want to root for Jameis. Am I the only person who just wants to root for Jameis Winston? Jarvis Landry off the board, 161. Steven says the Josh Allen pick made you chase the rest of the draft, in my opinion. Let's go through and let's review this. Like, if we would have not taken Josh Allen in the third, we would have easily gone DJ Moore. If we would have taken DJ Moore there, we probably would have gone Travis Etienne in the fourth, if I'm going to be honest with you. After that, Michael Thomas, Darnell Mooney, those are going to be standard picks almost regardless. Maybe if we wouldn't have taken Josh Allen, we would have gone Jalen Hurts instead of Darnell. Devonta Smith was an easy pick. Edmonds was an easy pick, as well as Boyd, Pickens, Gallup. The only pick I felt we were chasing on because our Josh Allen selection was going to be Isaiah McKenzie. Let's move this out. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people in the chat are rooting for Jameis. Jameis is just funny. Like, I think the NFL is better. I think the NFL is a more exciting place when Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback. Okay. And the idea, Teresa says, no, I'm definitely rooting for Jameis. Saints fan. Yeah, obviously. Hey, Teresa, are you excited about Jameis from a real life perspective? I think Jameis Winston obviously is not a good real. Okay. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like our Wi-Fi is messing up again. Why does it do this? Are we lagging for y'all? Let me know if we are lagging for y'all. Okay. Let's move this over. What can we be looking at here? Want to see my TDs? Only has one quarterback. Hopefully they took Daniel Jones. Okay, Higbee off. We want one of these teams to take Daniel Jones. We really want Noah Fant on the way back here. I guess we still got to take a couple more running backs. I mean, we only have Henry, Barkley, Edmonds. It would be nice to monopolize every single touch in that Miami Dolphins backfield. Like maybe if we make that one concentrated bet that you end up having, say, Sony Michel just get completely phased out and it's only Chase Edmonds and Mostert here. This team could get there that way. Okay. Mark Ingram off the board, 176. This team only has one tight end. It is Dawson Knox. Yeah, if I were them, I would go Noah Fant. We don't want them to go Noah Fant. Yeah, they go Hayden Hurst. So I'm going to be happy about taking Noah Fant here. We still need to take a third tight end, 100%. CSU Ram decides to go Daniel Jones. I'm imagining he's probably going to go third quarterback as well. Okay, so Zay Jones off the board, 180. I do think we get one of these running backs on the way back. If we look at both these teams already having 5. Like this team already has Mixon, Connor, Zeke, Dylan, Cordell Patterson. I don't know if they can take another running back. Okay, Austin Hooper off the board at tight end. To be honest with you, The tight end that I want's a 17th round, 18th round pick. Like, I think the tight end that I want's actually better than these other guys. I guess let's go through and let's bet that Sony Michel's not used in Miami. I mean, it's possible. Possible that he's not. So we're going to try to monopolize every Miami Dolphins backfield touch. I mean, they have an improved offensive line. We have Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley also at the running back position. Quarterback, we have famous Jameis, Josh Allen. Wide receiver, we have Allen Robinson, Michael Thomas, Darnell Mooney, Devonta Smith, Tyler Boyd, George Pickens, Michael Gallup, Isaiah McKenzie. Not my favorite. I think I like the other team we had better. The other team where we're taking like David Montgomery, pick 72. I think I like that one better. Okay. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 100 likes away from firing up another draft. So if you want to see another draft, please go down there. Drop a like on the live stream. And Cheeky Opson says, how many subs today? I think we had enough today to keep on pace where if we have as many every day as we've had over the past 2 days, we should hit 90,000 like the day before the season starts. And also, I'd imagine like once we get closer to 90,000, like the people that don't watch the channel that often will just go ahead and sub when they hear about the goal. So maybe it'll be like exponential. Like the closer we get, the faster we go towards it. I'm thinking maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more like hell. Everybody that watches the channel has already subscribed with the channel. I don't know. We'll figure it out together. Now we have Baker Mayfield off the board here, 189. AJ Green as well. So like I said, we are going to be looking for a tight ends. Looking for another running back as well. What running back would y'all want to see here at the end of the 18th? I'm sorry, at the end of the 17th, the beginning of the 18th? So Donta Foreman off the board. Oh, okay, Neymar was drafting quite some time ago. Back when I thought he was guaranteed to be the second running back there in Carolina. Sounds like that's not going to be the case. Okay, Tico says a Flock Cruz, a Best Ball Mania winner will pay for it. Hell yeah. How about this? If I win Best Ball Mania, which I max entered, which still gives me only like a 0.001% chance, but if that does happen, I will throw us a wild party. I will rent us out something. We'll throw a wild Flock meetup party. I'm sure Underdog would sponsor it as well. It could be a lot of fun. And I expect the same thing from y'all. If you win Best Ball Mania, you better be throwing us a party. You better be going wild. Okay. I know what running back we actually want. I'm actually excited to draft this guy. There are two different names. Two different names. If Taysom Hill makes it, we probably just take Taysom Hill. Actually, no, I'm not taking Taysom Hill here over that other tight end we like. Kingview Mead says, Mason, you just gave me a crazy idea. I'd love to hear it, my friend. Love to hear it. Kenny Pickett, 199. Mike Davis. Okay, so, yeah. The tight end we're going to get is almost guaranteed to make it back to us. So let's go ahead. Let's take a running back. I think the running back that we want is either Jerick McKinnon or Joshua Kelly. Spam the chat right now. Who do you want, Jerick McKinnon or Joshua Kelly? Spam the chat. Saram coming out. Man like Mason. Hope you're doing well, mate. Congrats on the 80,000 subs. Road to 100K in no time. Keep up the amazing work, legend. Thank you, of course, my friend, for being a long-time member of the flock. I truly do appreciate you. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck this upcoming season, my friend. Okay, so we have one vote for Kelly. McKinnon. McKinnon, Kelly. McKinnon, Kelly. McKinnon, Kelly. Okay, it looks like it's split 50-50. So I'm going to use the tiebreak that Joshua Kelly has not been drafted in the majority of these drafts. So let's go ahead. Let's take Joshua Kelly as the tiebreak that he is a unique player. Take him as our 5th running back here. And then our tight end is going to just be Logan Thomas. A very similar, I think that Logan Thomas